There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharply to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to...
Yes, sir. We are live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to MUFC Realist TV. I'm your host, Jarvis Corner, and my co-host here, there is Mr. Stu Woolley. Tom, journalist one, will join us in a second, and Poppy Botswana Poppy will join the show. But first of all, I will say hello to my good old friend, Stu Woolley. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm in my quiet period now. Thank God for that. I've been travelling here, there, and everywhere. With I think last time I was in Hungary, wasn't I, or somewhere like that? I can't quite remember. Germany or somewhere like that. So I'm all right, buddy. It's nice to chill out, relax. I've had a bit of a knee injury as well last couple of weeks.
Yeah. How is it with your knee injury? Are you feeling better?
Well, yes. I'm going to make me come back this weekend with a bit of luck against doctor's orders, but fuck him. Well, what's the worst I can do when I'm 70? I can't walk. Big fucking deal. Jesus. It's all about enjoyment and football, isn't it? Hey Tom, you're right, pal.
Evening, guys. How we doing?
Big up, Tom. Big up. Good to have you on. I saw you on Noradin's channel half an hour ago. Are you streamed out? Are you ready to do a whole 2 hours Jarvis's Corner?
I'm fine. I've reset. I've had the half an hour rest interval. Listen, Stu's already got the Specsavers on as always. Yeah. Ready for war.
I am ready for war tonight. I am ready for war.
You've got the Adidas brand deal still, I see.
Yes, it's. I dug this one out the other day. Actually, I quite like it. It's more of just a bit of an everyday top, really.
Yeah.
Use it for football, but it's more of an everyday with a bit of shorts and that. So I dug it out, and it kind of suits my complexion, my wrinkles, and that. They kind of get lost. They kind of get lost in design, don't they? So I was going through my tops, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna have to start donating. I think some to the homeless, some charities, some get some of those guys looking sharp. I think that's
it looks good. What color is it? Is it purple or?
Purple, yeah, it's like a purple blue. So it's got a bit of purple in it, a bit of blue. So I like blue. Anyway,
cool.
But it's quite nice. It's nice and white down there. So yeah, it's fresh looking.
Yeah, it is. Tom, what are you wearing?
What, sorry?
What are you wearing? Are you sitting in your undies or?
Wouldn't you like to know, Mr. Cocker?
Yes, yeah.
I'm just joking.
I'm in a tracksuit. If anybody wants to know,
tracksuit.
Yeah,
tracksuit. Tom.
Tracksuit.
Ready?
Yeah. I got back
nice.
in from the gym, and then I went to Nuruddin's show. So, and then I've had a bit of a rest, and I've come here. So yeah, big up as always, people. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe as always.
Yeah.
Be daily dose of goss every Monday. And always tune back in, guys, and we'll always be here.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I think we have about 50 people watching us right now. So everybody smash the like at the beginning of the show and keep reminding everybody who's new arriving to smash the like so we can get those likes up. I would like us to come to 100 likes on this show. That will be fantastic. So please smash a like and subscribe if you haven't. I just want to say hi to the people in the VAR room, the chat. Who do we have here? We have Lucky Singh is in the house, Sanjay Ramatar, and it's Timmy. It's Timmy. Timmy. We have Jamie Wayne, the legend. The moderator is in the house. MUFC Realist TV. That's Mick, who's in the house watching the show. Big up, Mick. DJ Superfly. I know DJ Superfly is a big Ten Hag supporter. So big up DJ Superfly. And Craig Warby, Madhouse is in the house. Stephanie Griffith, the legend. And Johnny K, John Kermode just arrived. And Dav147. So I think the regulars are in the house and ready to start the show. I just want to read out Johnny K's comment. He say, "Good evening, all. Smash the like on the video. I'm wearing a shirt and trousers as I'm still in work." Thank you for letting us.
The legend himself.
And of course, the musical Duke of Road Town. Call me Duke. That's okay, Duke. Big up, big up.
Duke.
Yes, tonight I have a show planned for you. We are going to talk about a little bit of gossip, a little bit of transfer news, a little bit of contract renewals. We have a guy called Alvaro Fernandez. Is he coming back? Do we have a buyback clause? We will dig into that. But first of all, I want to give the wheel to my co-host, Stu Woolley, because he has something important to address. So everybody pay attention. And keep your mouth shut.
Yes, thanks for that, Jarvis. So the most important thing I've got to address is it's Timmy. It's actually a herbal tea, a mixed fruit herbal tea, rather than squash or a cocktail. Yes, one likes a mixed berry herbal tea once in a while. I like herbal tea. Helps me relax in the evening, just to chill. Yeah. So that's what that is. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on. Last time I was on, I kind of was a fleeting appearance from I think it was Hungary. I'm not quite sure actually where I was, but I saw somewhere in the comments said I looked very relaxed and very laid back. I was half asleep during most of that particular show. But what I have done though, I've missed out on a lot of what's been happening since the Aston Villa game and really since the Porto match. And we've all got opinions on it. And I just wanted to touch on media bias that we're still having and kind of fan impatience, really. Now, obviously, I've listened to you guys when possible. And Tommy, compelling arguments as always with regards to Ten Hag, and where he is. And, Jarvis differs slightly to you, Tom, and I probably differ slightly to you, Barry. But that's because, and I've always said this, there's a huge depth of knowledge about football in general, not just about Manchester United, but about the game in general. And I think we all kind of view it the same way, but we just get there down different paths. And I just wanted to address what's been going on, really, the media bias. And I was asked on a show last night in particular, guys, what my feelings on with Ten Hag, and, why isn't the club saying anything? Why is this big wall of silence, etc., etc., etc.? And I just wanted to come back to where we were in the summer, really, because if you guys remember, and I know you will because we spoke about it on the show, I said, what's there to talk about? Because ultimately he's got a contract. So we don't need an announcement from the club as to whether he's staying or not, because he's in situ. He's obviously, I think he'd fucked off to Ibiza, hadn't he, for a week or somewhere like that last week. And he's back now. A lot of the players who weren't away on international duty hopefully have had a week off as well, and they'll be back now. And we've got to look forward to the Brentford game. But obviously I'm a journalist. Me and Tom both work in the media, so we know how the media works. And we know that there's a lot of lazy journalism out there. And if you don't talk about Manchester United, you're not talking about football. You're not talking about Ronaldo closing in on 1,000 career goals. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about Lamine Yamal becoming Adidas's first teenage superstar long signing. We're not talking about anything but Manchester United, because those are the column inches that sell papers. And I was also asked about fan impatience. And I just made a point that the bulk of the fans, us three aside of that, were bored up and have lived through this for Alex Ferguson days of glory. And we've spoken about this in the past, guys, and I feel I need to readdress it. There is a reluctance to look at the past history of Manchester United, look at our trajectory. And Tom, I remember a few months ago you made a point that there's only 3 managers ever to win the Premier League or the title. And one of them was back in, was it 1912?
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. It's only ever happened with 3 managers. And we've got to understand the trajectory the club is going on. And that's where we are with the club. So, we talk about a variety of different things. We talk about, is the coaching any good? We talk about, is the fitness side of the club any good? We talk about the depth of management in the club. Is that any good? We talk about a whole host of things, but we never really focus on player discipline, what advantages the players have made for themselves over the past 10 years. We don't really talk about where they've come in a game. We can't really point our finger in Tehran and say one player particularly can, take the game by the scruff of its neck, that type of thing. So I just wanted to ask you guys where you are with that and whether or not there is time now to actually really focus on the players. Focus on players that, by the way, have been playing since they were 8 years old, have been coached at a high level since they were 8 years old. And the other question I've got is, and this is for the VAR in, because I'd love to know, what can you coach? What can you teach somebody like Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, that they don't already know about the game? And what aren't we doing with our younger players to enable them to understand and embrace, just how quickly football changes in a split second during the match? Because I still play. You all know I still play. Everyone in the VAR room knows I still play. I played since I was 5 years old and I've been coached at a good level. I understand the mechanism of football. And I understand that, there are certain elements that are purely my fault. My decision-making is my fault. Whether I get it right or whether I get it wrong. My positional play on the pitch is my fault. I don't need to look over to a coach, although I'm the captain now. I don't need to look over at my skipper to tell me where I should be standing and what I should be doing to affect a game of football. And I find it bizarre that you guys don't talk about that. Tom, you speak passionately about a style of play. And I listen intently and I like what you have to say. Jarvis, you do something similar when you do your tactics board. And I love listening to you and I chip in when I can, but my opinion. I never ever see a style of play, even when I'm playing, because I'm looking at the time, I'm looking at the here and the now of what's happening in front of me. Is Tom 10 yards quicker than me? So if he is, what the fuck am I going to do to alleviate that during the match? How can I don't have to, shouldn't be looking or asking somebody else what to do. I should be thinking about it myself. Jarvis, every time I pass you the ball, it bounces off your knee. So I'm not going to pass it to you again for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to talk you through it. Jarvis, come off your fucking knee 3 times. I can't do it because we lost possession. That's what happens in football all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You walk around sometimes with I was going to say players with their hands in their pockets, but they're down the side. They look languid. They look slow. They look deliberate in terms of, and what I mean by that is they look deliberately slow because they look like they can't be bothered. So as a captain or as a colleague on that pitch, you've got to get them out of that. You've got to lift them. And why don't we do all of that? Why don't players for Manchester United do all that? You will see at Brentford over the weekend, that's what they do for each other. That's how they work for each other. I mean, we'll talk about Brentford later, and I'm sure we'll run through the tactics. What do. But, this is my old saying, Jarvis and Tom, this. Football hasn't changed since its inception. The pitch dimensions have been the same for a century. The goal dimensions have been the same for a century. It's been 11-a-side for a century. You know as well as I do, guys, there's only a finite way that you can hurt the opposition in football, because there's only small amounts of pockets that ever a space that ever open up, and it's how you go about doing that. And my biggest, I suppose, my crescendo to all of this is we've all been in dressing rooms. We've all listened intently during the week to how we want to play. And this is where you come in, Tom. You know, you talk about your style of play. We talk about it all the time, don't we? We listen. I want you to attack through the wings. I want you to attack through the middle. I want you to drop 10 yards when we're out of possession because we're not quick enough at the back. I want the goalkeeper to come out 10 yards and cut the gaps at the back. I want Jarvis, you know, to stop tying his shoelaces at the wrong time. I want him to look up, realise where he is on the pitch, that type of thing. And why can't our players, why cannot we adjust to the moment? So I've been in, like I say, we've all been in dressing rooms and we've spoken about it. We've had video evidence and the gaffer's saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then what happens when you cross that white line, Jarvis? You cross that white line, the ball kicks off, it comes to you, you drop it across, and they're like, oh, hold on, the gaffer didn't tell me that. He's not supposed to be there. What's their number 8 doing on the fucking right wing? Because they've changed. They made a conscious decision. So what do? You adapt to what's happening in front of you, and we're not adapting to what's happening in front of you. So I get the call for the manager's gone out. I get it. I understand it. But I worry about fan reaction and whether or not it's sometimes the right reaction. And I'm wondering if we're fueling, and I know we are because I'm a journalist, we're fueling what's happening to Eric Ten Hag at this point in time. I mean, Tom, we see it all the time, don't we? We get little snippets. The fans are restless, or this or that. We make a story out of it. We make a big thing. Are we allowing the fans, and I'm going to get slaughtered for this, and rightly so by the VAR, and please come at me, I don't mind, but are we allowing the fans to dictate ultimately what's happening with our club? Should the fans kind of take a step back and accept where we are at the moment, or should the fans be as vocal as they are and try and make the change? But my problem with it all is, I believe if we make this change to whoever, by the way, and you can't have a caretaker manager if he goes this week, if on Friday they decide to sack him, there'll be no caretaker manager because you've got 8 months of the season to go. Caretaker managers are
permanent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a 3 month, a 3 week.
Yeah.
Got to replace him with somebody to come in and be permanent, as Tom says. So if you do that, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get let's say for argument's sake, Thomas Tuchel in, and what is he going to do that's going to change where we are, our trajectory of the current situation? So yeah, I agree with Jamie. Everybody's got a right to an opinion, and this is just my opinion, pal. It's just my opinion, and this is what I'm just looking at it from a different perspective, because I don't think we ever talk about it. We're never. I don't want to say we're scared to talk about it, but we should put it front and center sometimes. It's easy to blame Ten Hag. It's easy to blame the Glazers. It's easy to blame everybody, apart from looking sometimes within, and that is the players' mentality. I'm not talking about ability, I'm talking about mentality, because Tom's not Anthony's biggest fan, are you, Tom? But
No.
He's got an ability, hasn't he? He's got a skill level if he decided to use it, and that's the thing. So that's what I wanted to bring up, and I just wanted your opinions, guys.
Yeah, if you want me to go first, too, I can try to have a go. You are talking about a very interesting subject, and when it comes to this fan base, we know we have grown up with winning all the time. We have over 20 years with Ferguson, so we sort of got used to winning. We were almost like not affected by even winning. You know, we were like took it for granted. So I think a lot of people who started to support this club and started with I don't know, bragging rights and and be able to tell everybody that, yeah, I'm a Man United supporter, we are the best. And suddenly when we're not the best anymore, it's hard for people to cope. And I don't know, I think we live in the past as fans. You know, we live in the past. We talk about the Ferguson time, we talk about the 90s, 2000s all the time. And what we maybe need to realize is those times are past. We are not there anymore. We're not that same club anymore. And people always talk about expectations, and that you're lowering your expectations, that if you are accepting mediocrity in a way. But sometimes you need to take a step back to take a leap forward, to gain some momentum. And I think for us, I'm not saying we should accept being 8th in the league, and I'm not saying it's good enough. No, it's not. But it's the way we handle the struggle. Maybe we should be stronger. Maybe we should have more faith. Maybe we should support our players. Maybe in the moment of need, you know, they are struggling. We see they lack confidence on the pitch. We see we all know how it is when you get nervous, when you feel that you have to do everything right, and you think of the consequences if you do something wrong. I feel we are in that stage at the moment. Even Benny McCarthy mentioned it in his interview. You see these guys performing fantastic in training every day of the week, but when it comes to game time, it doesn't work out in a way. So
but that's the question, and that's the question, Jarvis.
Yeah.
When it comes to game time, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Why doesn't it work out? I mean, you've taken that pitch, you've played at a really good level. For those of you who don't know, Jarvis got to a very high level in Norwegian football when he was at youth level. He was got long flowing locks and was a skillful midfielder. Quite lightweight, quite dainty, he'd admit, but a skillful midfielder. But my point being, he understands the mechanism of going off from the training ground to the pitch environment. And there's this, we fall into this abyss, don't we, from turning out in training to actually playing. What happens? That, you know, did it go into the Bermuda Triangle? Did it go into the triangle and come out the triangle? You know, what is it that they cannot turn around, turn their heads out and say, there's a fucking 10-yard gap there. What the fuck are you doing? Why haven't you seen that 10-yard gap? You know, what is it with these pairs of eyes and these ears and these mouths that there's this inability to understand what the opposition are doing to them? And that's my frustration with our current situation. And by the way, Jamie, and to everyone in the VAR room, it's great to be back. I did have a bit of a break, a holiday break, a bit of work, but also had a family emergency last week, which prevented me from joining. So, but I have missed you guys, missed the VAR room. So yeah, it is great to be back. Sorry, Jarvis, I just wanted to.
Yeah. Tom, do you want to have a go? Because I can't even wrap my mind around what Stu is actually asking me. What kind of question he's asking me? Because is it the pressure from the fans, or is it the expectations from the fans, or is it the players' ability to?
It's everything. It's everything. I'm asking you all of those things. It's everything.
Well, yeah. If we're speaking on behalf of the fans, you've got the way football works is you've got your match-going fans, go week in, week out, law-abiding fans. They've been there through the shits and the storms of the football club, but they've also been there on the highs of when they saw Fergie lift the title in that last year, and when he made his rounding speech to say you have to stand by your new manager. You know, you make those sort of set of the fan base, and you set that to one side, and then you also have this new modernising of football, which is football social media, which is everybody has an opinion. They come on platforms like ourselves and here on YouTube, or you go on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, and you you voice your opinions. There's, Facebook groups, there's Instagram following posts, there's, Twitter spaces now that you can speak on. There's so many different ways that communicate football opinion. And you have fans who have that wider reach who maybe can't go to games week in, week out. They're not as fortunate as with people, but they can have their opinion on a platform and speak about it. The way this fan base, and I'm going to be very critical about it, more particularly fan channels, influence the decision on the strategic review of the manager in the summer, I thought was alarming. When you have fans from fan channels who write detailed letters to the people who are running your football club, who think they speak for every Manchester United fan in the world, based upon what their opinion is instead of what their viewers or the platform is a disgrace. The fact of that you have a fan forum for a reason, and people like those who run said fan channels don't get invited to said fan forum, I think should speak a lot of volumes on who they want to listen to at a football club and who they don't. And look, the fan base, the one thing I'll always say to anybody who's a Manchester United supporter, when we speak about the past or we speak about the present, the standards of your football club should always stay the same, no matter what. Don't ever accept that your football club can be 8th in the league or 14th in the league when you used to be in top 4 minimum. Man United never used to drop out of the top 4, ever. Arsenal were exactly the same, and they never got into that top 4 with Wenger. And it just derailed, and it kept getting worse and worse. And Wenger stabilised them to the point where he got them into the Champions League year on, year out. And they were just that stable, steady Eddie club. We aren't even that. And that used to be the minimum for Manchester United. The maximum used to be, we used to challenge for league titles. Every year, people used to wake up as a Man United fan, used to think in the new season, forget about winning the league, we can win the treble. Even now in the modern day era, if you take the modern day era with the four trophy quadruple that you can do now, back in the day as Manchester United fans, we'd be sitting here and saying, Man United are one of those teams that can do that. Like City, every single season, it's like, can City do it? They've already done the treble. They've equalled it. They've equalled our best achievement as a club already. And the way that we have to look at it as a football club, we have been run into the mud by financial... Well, I wouldn't even call them financial experts because they're terrible on the finance side of the club as well. But the only thing that was ever good at was marketing, and they made decent money out of Manchester United. But they couldn't handle the COVID crisis, even though they're supposedly financial experts. At the end of the day, when we look at the directorship of the football club, everything around Eric Ten Hag has changed. And I mean everything.
Yeah.
They laid off 250 members of the hierarchy staff at Manchester United, including, the likes of your Richard Arnolds, your Matt Judges, your John Murtaughs, but then they also got rid of many people in and around the club. One of the most loyalist kickmen there, I can't remember, his name slipped my mind, Dino told me about him last week, where he got laid off and he'd been with the football club nearly 20 years. And they just laid him off and said, we want to move off in a different direction with a new culture and a new environment at the football club. We'll pay you off X, Y, Z in your contract, but we don't wish for you to be associated or work with Manchester United anymore. And it is a tough love business, football. 1 minute you can be loved, next minute you can be lost. And, if we talk about culture inside the football club, there's been a lot of change around the club. I do think players are looking at that and trying to adapt to having this new culture, because it's not. These players for the last 10 years have never been used to having people above them like Barada. They've never even worked with a sporting director who looks down on them on the training pitches, and they look up and they see Dan Ashworth, on the balcony and see, oh shit, I've got a sporting director who's looking at me. He can phone my agent, he can phone around the football club, and he can get me out of here. There never used to be that person that could do that to me at Manchester United. So players do have that psychological burden to say that we can be moved on and we can be moved out of there, no problem. Because you've got football people who can do that to you now. And they are ruthless people. I've seen Ashworth kick people out of Brighton that aren't good enough. I've seen him do it at the FA. The FA, he made his recommendations to say that Sam Allardyce, the direction of managers that they were going for, it's not a great direction. The culture was toxic. He recommended Gareth Southgate. He turned the whole culture of England around, and as a nation, fans bought into England. Whether you love Gareth Southgate or not, he did bring that happy, clappy sort of feel back to England where you do get behind your country going to a tournament, even if you don't like the style, you still back your country. And, you know, there's certain recommendations that you can make. Even now, if we look at it from a player perspective, as the final thing that you said, Stu, the players in that case, of course, when you look at the quality that we have within the squad, on paper, we should make top 4 with ease. But we're not even, like, I've said this before to Jarvis and Pappy when we did the show last week, the data trajectory that shows right now statistically, the way that we are playing form-wise and progression, the data shows that we won't even make the top 8. That's how bad it is right now in terms of the data, the statistics, but also even when you look at it with your eye, we don't look like we're going to compete with teams. We don't look like we're going to score goals. We don't really look like we're going to break teams down when they're sitting against us. There is that problem there where we have to look at it and think, players can only take you so far. You do need a director from the touchline to show you where you're going wrong in game and make adjustments. I see Ten Hag fails to do that. I do see that as a major flaw in his coaching credentials. And Jarvis has admitted that before as well. He's not a great in-game management manager. He doesn't make changes in game. Even though, guys, when he gets them in at half time, and when we get in at half time, it was like the Spurs game. They got the odds in at half time. I don't know what he will have said to them because they went 2 minutes later and they conceded again. It's like they've not, you know, he's not instructed them in the right way, or they've just not listened to him. And the only thing I'm going to say is, whenever a new manager comes into a football club, year one they always get a pass at any club. Any club, year one you get a pass. Barring a tragedy, you don't win one of your first 10 games. Barring a tragedy, you know, you get the support, you get the backing. He survived a 7-0 in the first year, guys, so that should show us something against Liverpool. The only thing I'm going to say, based upon statistically wise with football, we have to look at it from even the second year. You'll back a manager through turbulent results. Okay, he had a bit of, if we provide context to it, he had a lot of injuries. Then we get to year 3. I can't sit here now and say that there's the injury factor, there's the year 1 factor, there's the progression factor, there's the style of play. I'm not seeing a lot of what I was promised. And the guy, for me, a lot of what he said in terms of this with the style of play, and that's a big thing for me when a manager comes in. I need to see a direction. I need to see a way where a club is going. And when I look at Ten Hag, he came in and said, I want to play the Ajax style. He abandoned it in the first year after 2 games. He then went and said, I want to play fast-flowing transitional football in the second year. He abandoned that supposedly due to injuries. He's now changed his mind and flip-flopped a 3rd time and said, I want to play disciplined, controlled style of football. I just look at that and I think, as a group of players or a squad of high-Q players, these are not bums, guys. These are quality players in the day who can win you games. They are. When you have a coach who's saying that he wants to play a different way every single season, and then he's failing to implement that way, as a player, your brain's going to be fried to think, what way does he actually really want me to play? What way are we actually, what's the trajectory of us? And this is why I think a lot of young players and a lot of young talent is now looking to move away from Manchester United. Because of this with Ten Hag, there's not a clear defining style to say, we want to play this way and we're going to stick to play this way. If, and only if, guys, he would have said after those first 2 games when he lost to Brighton and Brentford, I'm going to stick to the Ajax way, whether you like it or not. I would have respected the guy. And you know what? Maybe in year 3 we might be seeing this Ajax style that we would have seen. But he didn't do it. He abandoned it. And when a manager and a coach abandons what he believes in, his principles, that's when I know that you're not the right person for that football club. Because you go down with the ship and you go down believing in what you're thinking is right in football. And he's not doing that. Results prove that. Performances prove that. His personality, his demeanour now with the media, he controlled the media when he first came in that first season, guys. They're taking the piss out of him, if we're facing facts. They are. They're probing at him, they're digging at him every second that they can. You know, have you been given assurances from, you know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe? He did an interview in Monaco. He said, you know, that, you know, he doesn't want to answer a question about your future. Does he really back you, Ten Hag? You know, all of these things, we have to culminate and say that there is a lot of problems. But you can say that a new ownership's come in. You can say a new directorship's come in. We've had new players come in over the last 3 years, which is like a new squad that's been built. But the one thing that's always stayed the same throughout those 3 years, and it's never improved, is the coaching. The coaching is not improving. The coaching is not improving players. It's not progressing us up the league table. And it's the only thing that people hide behind is it's won us 2 cups. Do we really believe that we should have won that Carabao Cup final against Newcastle? They were the better team. On a different day, Newcastle would have scored the goals that they should have done in that final, and we wouldn't have won. The FA Cup final, I'll give him that. But to judge a manager's tenureship on one game is not a good thing. And that's where you get into the stagings of where you have to look at football and you have to think, did we make the bad call? And I do look at INEOS and I do look at them in the hierarchy, and I think after 7 games and at that meeting, I think a lot of them will have looked at it and thought, we've made a bad call here. We've made a bad decision. But if we turn around now and we sack him, we're going to look like absolute amateurs into thinking, why didn't we just follow our gut instinct in the summer and get rid of him? They had the perfect chance to do it then. They've now had a second chance to do it in this international break and find a manager. They failed to do it again. So if the wheels fall off at Brentford and the rest of the fixtures, guys, it serves them right. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm not going to blame Ten Hag anymore on this, because you've got to be pushed. If you're not going to jump, you've got to be pushed. And for me, we've not learnt our lessons as a club from what we did with Ollie. We had the chance to get rid of Ollie in this similar sort of window. We sent him on a fishing expedition. He come back, got worse. Ten Hag, listen, and I've said this to Jarvis and Packer last week, if he turns this round, it'll be the biggest comeback story in football. Because I've never seen a club go from this terrible and this bad on this, in terms of a top club, and then turn it round and have a successful season. I've never seen it happen. But I'm here to be proven wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong. And if he gets to the end of the season, listen, God bless all of you as Manchester United fans, because as I said, the data and statistics, you will not make top 8. And if that's good enough for you, by all means, that's good enough for you. You go down with a sinking ship. I've got my standards as a fan. And my standards as a fan is a minimum, play Champions League football. We won't even get on a plane in Europe, is the way that the data is telling you. And that's a damning shame for a club like Manchester United.
Yeah, I totally agree. I knew it would be a good discussion, so I was pleased with that. Jarvis, I will relinquish the hosting side of the and hand it back to you. But no, I just thought it needed, a conversation. I thought it needed some different viewpoints and that. And Trev, I've always missed you, pal. Always. So glad you're back, pal. Glad you're back. The comments have been brilliant, actually. Lots of you getting involved, which is great in the chat and the VAR. We're not here to be agreed with. We just have our own opinions, and that's the beauty of football. That's what we love. That's what we love the most. Loads of you watching as well. We've got about 113, I think, Jarvis, maybe more.
Yeah, well, yeah, people watching on Twitter and on YouTube. So I think we are about 110, 15 people watching at the moment. So people smash the like, get your comments in, share the Twitter link, share the YouTube link, whatever you want to do. Help us spread the good word of Jarvis's Corner with me, Stu, and Tom. And Poppy might join us later because he's running late at work. So it's just the way it is.
I agree with us, couldn't they, Jarvis? They could come on to disagree. We don't mind. We don't mind what you say.
We can disagree. It's just opinions. At the end of the day, we all support Man United, and we all just want us to do well. So and get back to winning ways. I just want to say, when it comes to Tom's prediction of the future and that we will come in 8th if we continue this way, I'm not quite sure that he's right. It comes down to faith. I see we have 20 gifted memberships from Rushmano, so let's go to them first. Rushy.
I haven't done this for a while.
Let me just play this intro. They have done some updates on streamers. I don't even know where I find you here.
What have you done with it? What have you done with it?
Oh my God!
The legend. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Oh, don't say you let the legend that is Rushmano die. Rushmano, look, let me apologise. on behalf of Jarvis. An absolute disgrace that he's not able to. So you're going to have to try and whistle. Come on. What the fuck was that? Rushmano, it's even worse, pal. If you want to disown Jarvis, go right ahead.
You can't disown me.
Yeah, absolute disgrace. Have you got them up, buddy, or?
Yeah. I can read out the new members. We have Aaron as a new member. Big up, Aaron. We have Ridwan. We have a pyramid scheme. Don't fall for it. It's a pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Memedog 1. FPL Fuzzy. How's your FPL team doing? FPL Fuzzy. Ronald Nobin. We have
I think that might be Nobin. It might be Nobin.
Okay, Nobin.
Nobin, not Nobbin.
Roland Nobin.
Nobin. Yeah, we'll go with Nobin. We don't want to go with Nobbin, do we? All right, Roland's Nobbin is no, got to be Nobin.
Okay, Nobin. Okay, you got me. Dalu Suarez.
Oh, Suarez, very nice.
You can have a couple of others too.
Yeah. Oh, who we got? Let's see. We've got
Sir Diablo is
Sir Diablo. Yes, Sir Diablo. We like Diablo.
Diablo.
Yes. Who else have we got? MESC. Is that 14? Yeah. Ian Livesey. Welcome, Ian. So who else we got? Dave 147. Welcome, Dave.
Dav 147.
Sorry. It's Dav. It's not Dave. I was going to say, where's the E? Come on, Dave. The main man, Craig Walby. He gets one. Madhouse is in there. Who's this idiot here? Jarvis who? Are you kidding me? Oh my! I'll tell you what. I'll scrub that off, Rushmano, because he hasn't delivered a proper whistle. I'll scrub that off for you. Thomas, yes, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, so I really don't want to butcher your name. We got Rocky Johnson. I do like that one. Yeah. We've got Nicky and Rushmano himself's got one. How's Rushmano got one? Dynamic. Well, I'd definitely get rid of that Jarvis Cocker. Crikey, doesn't it? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rushmano, the legends, regularly donates memberships. So thank you very much from everyone.
Thank you.
And welcome to the new members as well, because you're absolutely delighted to have you here.
Yes, and back to the show. I just want to talk to Tom and tell him that I'm not 100% agreeing with what you're saying, your predictions for the end of the season. Even if we continue this way, I think we can turn it around. If you look at it, you can look at our XG, how many chances we create. People say that we are struggling scoring goals, but we are actually -6, if you can call it that, in the XG. So we should have scored 6 more goals in the Premier League so far, but it comes down to our clinicality. I don't think that's a coaching issue. I think that's a quality issue of the players, and it comes with confidence. And you just need to score that first goal, and then they just come pouring. It's just the way it is. We have seen strikers, for example, back in the days. We knew Andy Cole, for example, when he came in from Newcastle, huge signing, 7 million. Or was it 9? I don't remember quite.
7.
He missed so many chances. 7, chances. Everybody was so frustrated, and suddenly he started scoring. So, I have a faith in what we're doing. I see positive things. I'm not saying that everything Ten Hag is doing is perfect. There's a lot of things he can change, but I believe in these players. I believe in the team. I think we can turn it around, and it's early days. That's just what I'm saying. I'm willing to give it more time. And even though we are not in top 4 in 5 games, I will wait until the end of the season before I cast.
So if this continues and we're still in this same position and we're still playing the exact same way, Jarvis, and we're getting nowhere, we're not scoring goals by November, international break, you're still going to keep them, yeah?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will judge Ten Hag at the end of the season. I know this will take time. I know what he's trying to do is difficult. He's trying to play the modern style of football, high press, keep possession, high turnovers, tempo in the game, aggressive high back line when needed, turn-out play. I think it's difficult for the players to understand what we are going to do. Interchanging of position, the combination play. I think it's so many factors, so many details.
But by
At
year
moment.
three, shouldn't that just be the norm, Jarvis? That
Yeah,
they know all of this.
usually it should, but we have other factors that's making Ten Hag's case a little bit better, because we know that he has been run without the structure the first 2 seasons. We know that it's the Glazers who have signed a lot of his players. We don't know even if it's his players when it comes to, for example, Casemiro, when it comes to other players that have been brought in. He has had to rely on players like Eriksen, who came in on a free. We have had a lot of injuries. And
he approves them, though, Jarvis. Come on. We can't sit here and say in the modern day of football that managers don't have a say or an approval on players. Of course they do.
Yeah, but we know from Solskjaer, his interview, he said 1 in 4 signings was his. He said it.
But you look at Solskjaer,
at the overlap.
When
and Ten Hag was under the Glazers, so why would it be any different?
Yeah, but what Ten Hag did instead of all the other managers was he didn't come in and say, I'm going to be bullied into, you give me whatever player and I'll just use them. No, he said, I want to come in here, I want to have a veto on transfers, and if you don't give me a veto, I've got a club who will work under football structure, RB Leipzig, because he had that offer on the table, and they was going to give him said transfer veto to say,
having a veto is not the same that he has the choice to pick whatever he wants.
Oh,
it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Do you think it's the same? It's the same to have a veto that you can pick every player you want. He's limited by budget. He's limited by who he can pick, because the Glazers was the structure. We have Arnold, we had Murtog.
Yeah, but they don't know what they're doing, Jarvis. He does. He's a football guy.
Out players for Ten Hag.
They have employed this guy.
Deliver a list of 10 players, and then we bring him the worst player because he was the cheapest.
Jarvis, they're paying millions.
Overpay.
They paid him millions. He come in like the bull in the china shop. Thought he was the top man. He came in here. Errors coming to an end. Pep and Klopp and all this shite.
Yeah.
He then come in.
He bought his players. Faith that he can do it. Any manager.
Jarvis,
if he didn't come in and think that, I can't do this. What the hell is that kind of manager? He needs
Jarvis, he come in and he bought the players that he wanted. We can't sit here in year 3 and say he's not got players that he wanted. He wanted Anthony. Right, forget the price tags. He wanted Anthony. It's not been a good player. He wanted Casemiro.
But we know that 50%, maybe up to 60% of all signings are successful. Why should Ten Hag be any better? Even Pep doesn't have a hit rate of higher than 60%.
Oh, come on, Jarvis. Jarvis, these managers have styles.
Yeah, but you got to be realistic. Why do you have such high expectations that Ten Hag needs to have 100% success rate when it comes to do transfers?
I'm not saying that he's got to have 100%.
You're not judging him fair. We have to judge him
Jarvis,
at the
he's
same
not got
level.
20% of them right. Name me some of his signings that have been successful, please. Some of them, please.
Yeah, we can go through it. We can go through all these signings.
Let's go. No, not all these. Let's go through Ten Hag. Name me 20% of them that have been good then.
Leach has been good. Eriksen has been good.
When he's not injured,
Casemiro was player of the year first season. He was good when he came in.
No. We're talking about full time that they've been here. You can't name me one, Jarvis, consistently, because they've either been injured.
I think Malacia was good until he was injured. Ten Hag can't control that. It has nothing to do with bringing him in.
When we think about his main players for 3 years, Anthony should have been one of those players that has been on this road for 3 years.
Anthony should be a staple.
No. He should be a staple player, though, Jarvis. I'm not writing off £80 million on a player that he really wanted.
But 80 million wasn't Ten Hag's fault.
No, but he really wanted to play Jarvis. If he's not got this transfer veto, why did the club?
It was the last week of the transfer deadline.
Why did the club not go and sign a different player for 40 million instead of paying 80 than Jarvis? If he doesn't have this major influence on transfers, he really wanted that player. No matter the cost of it, Jarvis. He's gone to the board. They've bought him the player that he wanted for whatever price. He just said, "Just get me Anthony. I don't care the price." He is a manager who he's not bothered about price tags on players. He said this. I want quality, even regardless of whatever the price it takes to get them. He's got the players that he wants, Jarvis. He has to play a certain way with them. We can't sit here in year 3 and say he spent £600 million and we still don't know what way we want to play. Or He wants to play
Well,
pressing.
first
He
of
wants
all,
to do
when
this
it comes
style.
to
He
football,
wants
you
this
have
and that.
inflation as everything in life. So you can't judge him on 600 million. You have to, for example, why don't you judge him? Why you never mention the wage budget? You have cut the wage budget from 400 million to 250 million. Why don't you ever mention that? You are biased when you're talking. You're cherry picking your facts, Tom.
I'm cherry picking my facts,
yes,
right?
you
Wage cuts have only just come in now under a proper football structure. Because before, Jarvis, when
yeah,
did
but
we
you never
ever
mention
say
it.
before?
You only mention 600 always, but you never mention the wage budget. How can you bring in the
And you
best
think
players
that's
if you're
and that's
cutting
a
the
Ten Hag
wages down?
success, is it? Ten Hag success is that he's cut the wage bill.
You can't have it both ways. Is it Ten Hag's success when it comes to 600 million, or is it 250 million in wage?
Did I just say to you then that he's in control of the price tags on players? No, but he's bought this squad, Jarvis. We can't change the fact of the squad's worth £600 million that he's assembled, and he still can't get them playing week in, week out consistently. I'm not going to sit here in year 3 and write off 600 million. We're £1 billion in debt. We're £1 billion in debt. And yeah, you've got football people in place now, guys, that are going to make football decisions.
Yeah, but I mean, it will take time.
Week in, week out, we are not getting results. Year 3, Jarvis, you can't be sitting there and saying it will take time.
It's very difficult. We have to, all the stars have to align for us to have immediate success.
So we're giving him 4 years,
with a structure
Jarvis,
like this,
to build a style. 4 years. Managers in football get judged in 18 months.
It could take 5 years, even 6 years.
You would give this guy 5 and 6 years.
I would rather spend 6 years and be successful in the 6th year than going back and forward, back to start, sacking the manager every 2 years, every 3 years, and going nowhere.
What's your version of success in 6 years then?
Challenging for the league and qualifying for the Champions League.
Right, in 3 years, have we come close to challenging to the league title that he's been there?
Well,
we haven't, Jarvis.
Well, you can't say that. We could be. It could be if we keep Ten Hag in the job.
What we've done though, Jarvis, it's not a fact. When we look at the way that we've played, we have not got any closer to City, to Liverpool, to Arsenal, to any of them. Those clubs have a plan and have a journey to go on. This guy, Jarvis, when he came in, I wanted this guy. And when he came in and said, I want to play the Ajax way, I thought, brilliant. That's a brilliant game model. It's a brilliant style to bring to this league. I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I'll get behind the guy because he's the guy that I wanted at that time. But he's come in here and he's lied to every single fan when he said, I want to play the Ajax way. He's then said, I want to play transitional football. He's now saying, I want disciplined, controlled style of play. You can't sit here in year 3, Jarvis, and change your mind again. These players, they're not robots. They're going to look at him and think, we're changing the style year in, year out. Why are we not just sticking to one plan, one principle? If it works, brilliant. If it doesn't, okay, he sinks the ship. We go on with another coach. The only thing I'm saying, guys, is you've got a squad of players. We can't just write this squad off, guys. This squad will still be here with him or without him. It's as simple as that.
I don't think we write the squad off at all. But this is where I go with player responsibility as well. You know, I'm a huge thing on player responsibility. I know I drown on and bang on about it all the time. But I do, and you both make some absolutely brilliant points. Tom's asking, why can't the players adapt? Because they can't be fucking bothered half the time, Tom. When me and you were growing up, pal, and some of the guys within our within the VAR room, it was a fucking honour to play for Manchester United. If you got that call from Sir Alex Ferguson, that was it. You didn't want to go anywhere else. Nowhere fucking else. Nowadays, it's not that badge of honour anymore. We know that. We're all realists. Everyone, even in the VAR chat, it's not that badge of honour. We're still a great drive. We're still a great pull. But the players we're getting, and we'd all agree with this, they're fucking lazy. They are lazy. They don't stay back for an extra 2 hours to work on their left foot or their crossing. That, you know, Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund probably didn't stay back and work on their pace disadvantages between the three of them to make sure they arrive at the box at the exact time, which they should be doing. We talk about pressing. It's basic football. Fucking pressing. Whether you zone or press, you press in their face. I like it when a player presses in my face because I'll see him coming like this and I'll just pop the ball off like that. See you, mate. What are you doing? It's a ball's over there, mate. You got to play hide and seek with the football. That's just what we're talking about sometimes. It's just the basics of football. And that's why I get so fucking frustrated when I'm watching the game. I listen to Tom. I can hear the pain in his voice. Jarvis, when you're going through your tactics board. I hear the pain in your voice because you know if I'm on with you, Stu's going to say, well, why didn't he just fucking do that? And then I demonstrate it, and then but you already know what I'm going to say, Jarvis, because you can see it unfold. You can as well, Tom, because I know what Stu's going to do. He's going to say, why didn't you do it? I'll then go and explain it, and I explain my way around the pitch. But I always thought it's a 5-year project. Forget Eric Ten Hag. I've always thought a manager needs 5 years. Now, actually, Tom's got a point where, Pep didn't need 5 years with City, different type of club, better structure. People will look at Arne Slot now. Well, look what Arne Slot's doing. He could crumble in 2 months' time. He could be into depths of despair. We just don't know. Now, I think Ten Hag can do something. I think he can change it. But these players, they've got to pull up their socks, tuck in their skirts, and they've got to want to go out there and win. I'm desperately looking forward to this weekend because I haven't played for 2 weeks. I can't fucking wait. I'm going to absolutely smash somebody within the first 5 minutes. Might get a yellow card, might not, but I'm going to fucking smash somebody because that's what I need to get up for a game. And I'm not talking about wanting to see aggression all the while, but they've got to follow the football. They've got to follow what's happening inside. And it isn't just the manager blurting off or standing or rude having a go at the manager or whatever. These players have got to look and think, hold on, we know where the danger is. We know that it's coming through the middle. What the fuck are we doing? Why do I have to look over to Ten Hag or Hake or whoever, Van Nistelrooy, to tell me where to be? I'm a grown-ass fucking man. I'm earning 200 grand a week. I'm playing from the greatest fucking club on the planet. By the way, to cap it off, I'm probably a Portuguese international or an Argentinian international or a fucking English international. You know what I mean? Danish, Norwegian. Well, I'm an international footballer, Dutch. So why do I need somebody to tell me? Why can't I understand what is going on? Tom, you're right. If you're changing formations and systems all the time, it can be a bit confusing. You're absolutely right. But Jarvis's point, and I get it as well, why the fuck can't an elite footballer just say, okay, yeah, all right, let me take a step back. Do you remember in the summer, guys? I think it was the summer when Ten Hag was appointed, and I made a statement, and I said, if I was Bruno Fernandez or somebody else or whatever, I would find everything out I could about Eric Ten Hag. I would want to know how he wants to play. And then I'd ask the question, why do you want me in that position? And I would try and understand, because that's what an elite footballer does. And we talk about issues with players. Do you remember Nunes from Wolves? Ripped it up this season, didn't he? Got his move to City. Where is he? He can't do it because he can't adapt, and that's
Calvin
fine.
Phillips is the same. Yeah,
exactly. They can't adapt, but they can adapt. They're just too fucking lazy. They're just too lazy. Now we can go through our squad, can't we, and rip Rashford a new one for being inconsistent. We could talk about Garnacho's inadequacies when it comes to approaching the penalty area. Zirkzee, and Tommy, you were absolutely right a couple of weeks ago, pal. Trev, it happens. To be honest, Trev, what's happened is Jarvis and Tom have sent me notes when they were arguing. And so they say, Stu, you can impress Trev if you read our notes. and that's what I'm doing. I'm only reading their notes, Trev. But you look at, I've lost my school of thought of him now. But my point being, when you cross that white line, whether it's 5 aside, 7 aside, 9 aside, you do it through coaching, Jarvis, like you coach your youngster. Tell me you do, you've done coaching in the past, played. All of this, it's about imparting wisdom. And I just can't, it doesn't compute in my tiny little pea brain that I've got in my head, how these players can't do it, because that's what I do. I just try to look at things from a different point of view all the time. And that's why people say to me, well, what's your favourite formation? I'm thinking, all right, really you do a 4-5-1 or a 4-4-2 when you're in defense, but very rarely do you attack with a formation, do you, fellas? You know as well as I do, you don't really attack with a formation. You try.
Yeah, but you set up small tactics on you have a basic formation, and you said, for example, I will bring you one example that no one has mentioned today or this season. You have seen Bruno more on the right side. He's pushing up high in almost in Ahmad's place, and Ahmad is pushing all the way up to the line, to the sideline, and it brings more space for Ahmad when he's on the ball. So Ahmad has looked good this season. But it's a tactical move with Bruno, who are if you look at the heat maps where Bruno have been, you see it right away. How his okay, I will just show you Bruno's heat map just because we are on the subject, because I have it here.
While you're doing that, big up to Pappy. He can't make it with us. He's tied up at work, but we love you, Pappy. And by the way, you guys were absolutely top drawer with your conversation. It was brilliant. I love listening to it. I didn't want to get involved. Actually.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But
but you know, we have strong opinions, and that's okay. Yeah, but I respect those opinions. But sometimes we need just to talk it out. You know, that's just the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here is the right hand side, and you see a lot of Bruno is in this area.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time, and it gives extra space for Ahmad. You should think that he won't give Ahmad extra space, but the way it is, because Bruno occupies one extra man, and it makes the left fullback of the opposition team to make a choice. Should he mark Bruno, or should he mark Diallo? So it gives him a hard choice to make. So it's no standard answer. It's situational, and that's just the way it is. So this
we say that though, Jarvis, where Bruno's occupying to Ahmad's space. I can't understand if it's giving Ahmad so much more freedom and versatility to make direct runs in behind or to the byline, like you're saying. Why does he drop him in big games then? Liverpool was a prime example of a game. He needed his best players. Ahmad's been one of his best players, probably one of his leading lights most of the season, and he drops in at the first big game. You then get to Spurs, exactly the same story. You then get to Villa Park, exactly the same story. I can't understand why he's dropping him if Fernandez and Ahmad's sort of movability on
the answer is very simple, because we play against the high line, and then he wants his fastest, most paciest player to play. Because he thinks they will press us and have a high line, so there will be space for us to run into. That's a simple question, but it hasn't worked. I agree with that. It's a bad plan.
It's not worked, but the thing that I'm saying to you is, Ahmad this season, even if we go and base it on pre-season as well, guys, he was very good with link-up play. He was very good at direct running, cutting into the box. But I remember we played the Arsenal game, guys, in pre-season. They didn't want to touch him. They did not want to touch him. None of those defenders, they ran at three of them. They didn't want to touch him. And it got to the point where they just shoved him in the back, or they shoulder barged him. And it's hit or miss. It's 50-50 whether you get a foul, a penalty or not. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. The thing that I'm saying is, he's one of our most direct wingers and best players that we have in the front line. And he's just not using him. Or he's not using him in games where he needs his direct plays, he needs his winners. If I look at our attackers right now, guys, and I say, out of all of them, who's probably going to score for you? Ahmad's probably the best one that we've got right now. Højlund has not had a pre-season. He's gun shy. He needs to get back up to full match. And what I mean by this is match fitness. Not fitness off the pitch, you put some work in the gym. No, match fitness. You get minutes under your belts. You get back up to scratch. Xerxes, for me, he's a creative player. If I'm looking at it now, guys, he's either going to play as a false 9 and be successful, or maybe even try him as a number 10. Because as a number 9, he doesn't direct run into the box. He doesn't have the pace that's going to, get onto the end of crosses or anything. Late runs in the box. So for me, I look at him almost like a Martial hybrid player, where he's not going to be that player. He needs to run past a couple of players, or he needs to link up play. And that's where he's going to get goals or assists. Out of all of our attackers that I've just said, that Rashford, we've already discussed this many a time. and this season, he's low on confidence. He's gun shy. I don't know what's going on. Like I've said, we've been over this before. I think his personal life took a massive hit over the last 18 months. Split from his girlfriend. He's had a couple of tragedies in his family and stuff. And we know all about the partying and stuff in Belfast. So, we know the context around his personal life. It's been made public very clear. Ahmad's the only one that I look at it, guys. And he's squeaky clean. He doesn't go out on the piss on the lash every night drinking. What I've heard anyway from in and around the training ground, he's one of the first players in, one of the last out on the pitch. He stays behind after training, does shooting drills with Van Nistelrooy. He did them even before when they had Steve McLaren stay behind as well. He worked very well with Steve McLaren when he was doing rehabilitation, when he got the injury from the pre-season tour. That's a dedicated player, guys. That's a player I want at my club. But I've got other players who they'd rather play for England than play for Man United, and that's Luke Shaw. That's what I'm talking about mentality. But he's an experienced player in this squad. You need to exhale these players out of this squad if you want to change the culture of the dressing room.
I agree with that.
And it's not just Luke Shaw. It's not just Luke Shaw who's in that case. Rashford, this is your make or break, fella. You either change now or you don't change at all. It's as simple as that. I'd get rid of him in the summer if he doesn't want to change his personality and his persona, because you are going to drag this club and this dressing room down with you. And listen, as much as I say all this on Ten Hag as well, I give the players enough stick. I've said it before on here, guys. I'd have got rid of Luke Shaw in the summer. I'd have paid him off. I'd have got rid of Rashford in the summer. I'd have paid him off. I'd paid a lot of these players off to go in the summer. Maguire, I wanted to go in the summer, even though he was decent for his last year. Lindelof, he's soft. Linda's soft. He's a soft player. I'd get rid of them. I'd have got rid of a lot of this squad in the summer. But we're stuck with them. They're still here now. Yeah. The only thing I'm saying is a lot of the core of this squad now is Ten Hag's squad. And that's why when I come to the coaching element, guys, is because I don't have a clear style of play. And this is what I get behind, guys. Those first two games, even when he lost to Brighton and Brentford, I was behind him. I could see what he was doing when Eriksen dropped for that ball so deep when David De Gea played. We called it the suicide pass because that's what we all remember. Into Eriksen, and he got tackled on the ball. Because he was doing that, I could understand what style he wanted to play. He wanted to build out from the back. We don't do that anymore. We don't have a midfielder drop and come for that ball. It's play to one of the centre halves and play out. But you look at City, Rodri always drops deep for that ball and he turns. Even Arsenal guys, Odegaard does it for them, and he's not a DM. He's an attacking midfielder, and he drives the ball forward for them. That's what I'm talking about, where I could see what Eric Ten Hag wanted to do for those first two games, but he abandoned it and he never went back to it. And that's where my issue has always been with this guy. He said what he wanted to do, but his ability to actually coach it is completely gone. And the thing that I'm saying, even with what Benny McCarthy said, guys, where he said, in training, players are brilliant. The thing that we've all heard around to Eric Ten Hag is he gives the players these video clips, and it's go off, watch the video clips, understand it yourself. For me, as a coach, if I look at that, or as a player even, I don't look at that and I'm not inspired. All you're doing is you're giving me a computer screen and saying, watch it and watch where you're going wrong. A lot of our players, guys, I'm going to say it for what it is, they are simpletons. They're simple-minded players. You need to spoon-feed them and break down the game for them. Rashford, I've said this before, he's a kick and runner. He's a rounders player. He's kick the ball or hit the ball and run after it. That is Marcus Rashford's game. So if you want to try and coach him, you're going to have to simplify the game for him to understand it. Fernandez is the same. If you want to coach him in ball retention, you can't just give him a video or give him an iPad and say, here, have a look on that and see where you're going wrong. And a couple of lines come up on the screen, or you circle you on the pitch and then you circle where you should play the ball and that. That's not going to help the guy. You need to sit next to him, or you need to stand next to him on a coaching pitch and say, right, Bruno, you're 5 yards away from where you need to be. You need to play the pass here at this time on that rhythm. Here's your movement. Ahmad's making a 50-yard run. You need to be seeing that run from your players. You need to understand your teammates around you. And that's where I've said at the start of the season, guys, Eriksen's been our best player for me. Yeah. I saw in that Porto game when he got in that 10 position, he played the brilliant way to pass to Rashford and he killed them off in that game, in that first half. And that's why we were 2-0 up. We weren't 2-0 up because Rashford scored a couple of brilliant goals or anything like that. He made direct runs. No, Eriksen played the brilliant passes. That's what you need a number 10 to do. And I've said this before. A number 10 doesn't have to run for you. The football does the running for you, is the old phrase in football. And at the end of the day, with Ten Hag, he could have easily gotten rid of Bruno Fernandes over this time if he wanted to have, and he's not done it. The same thing with Rashford. He is in the long haul with it for those two players, who we all agree on here. I think we need to move on from if we're going to go somewhere, and we're going to move on and win things. He has tied those two players down with him because he has to give his agreement. Again, like I say, Jarvis, if you want to keep a player, a manager has to have an influence on if they want to keep a player or not. So he's agreed to keep these two on. And I've said this and I've used this phrase before. If the poster boy and the club captain knock on certain doors at Carrington and say, Eric Ten Hag's not good enough, get rid of this guy, Eric Ten Hag's gone. He's dead man walking. Because those are two respectable people at the club captain and the youth academy poster boy.
Yeah.
If he does that and says, I want to get rid of Fernandes and Rashford, he might have got away with it in the first year, but he can't do it now. And the fact of when a manager like Jurgen Klopp, and I'm going to use this example, walks into Liverpool and their superstar player in Coutinho isn't good enough for him in terms of his long-term plan of how he wants to play, the first chance he got to get rid of him, guys, for decent money, see you later. Go to Barcelona.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he went. And it's not because that Coutinho really wanted to go or anything like that. They offered him top money to stay. Liverpool as a club wanted him to stay. Jurgen Klopp didn't want him to stay. And that's an old fairy tale that I think people sometimes forget. You can have a superstar player. Yes, absolutely. But if it's not going to fit you long term, you get rid of them.
Yeah.
Kun Aguero did the same thing at City. He's a cult legend for what he did with that last minute goal. Pep wanted to get rid of him. See you later. Yeah, you can cry in an interview afterwards and say, we can't replace him and all this. I think they've done quite well for the Sens really in Haaland, guys. Don't you think? I don't look at that and think that suddenly it's he's crying tears of remorse for Aguero not leaving to go to Barcelona at that time. It's different. Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. There's a coaching element and there's a players element.
A lot of brilliant points, Tom.
It's going down the shit.
I agree 100% with what you're saying on the record. So we are not just arguing; we are also agreeing on this channel.
I don't think you were arguing. I think you were debating. There's a big difference between arguing and debating. But would you believe we're an hour and 12 in to the show?
Ooh,
so what a great start to what a great show so far. I hope you've been lapping it up in the VAR room for some of your comments. You appear to be, but Jarvis, we must move on.
We must move on. I just want to say to end this discussion, I totally agree with Tom, and I think you make a great point. And when it comes to Rashford and Bruno, Ten Hag's success will depend on how quick he will realize that he can't shoehorn those two players into his system. He would either fail or succeed, but he needs to realize the one important thing, because for me, tactically, none of them really makes us better as a whole, but they are brilliant individuals, and that's the dilemma for Ten Hag.
Don't forget though, guys, we've got a European ban coming up for Mr. Bruno Fernandes, don't we?
Yeah, at least one game.
At least one game. Yeah. So let's see how we do. Yeah, Fenerbahce. We hear that Mr. Yoro, they're trying to get him back in for November. I'd wait till December personally, but they're trying to bring him in because we seem to have this defensive crisis, injury crisis again, don't we? Mazzari, what do we do at left back? There's loads of questions to be asked, isn't there? So,
I see you're conscious of times too. So let's just move
on.
To sorry. And I want to do the devil's advocate right now. I prepared something. So guys, prepare now. We will have the devil's advocate, and tonight's contestants are Stu Woolley and Tom Journalist 1 and Jarvis, because there are three options and Tom is not here. So let's roll the jingle. Yes. So on tonight's Devil's Advocate, you might have catch up already on tonight's Devil's Advocate. We are discussing players with contracts expiring at the end of the season. So the question is, who deserves an extension? Is it Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, or Victor Lindelof? I will give Harry Maguire to Tom, and I will give Stu Johnny Evans, and I'll take Victor Lindelof. Stu,
Okay.
you can go first. 1 minute.
Johnny Evans, does he deserve a contract? No. I think he's been... look, for him, as a player, as an individual, as a man, he's living dreamland right now. He never thought he would end his career at the greatest club on the planet when he left all those years ago. And he's had moderate success, Premier League champion. I just feel that he would be better served in a coaching capacity and put his vast experience to use with the juniors. So for me, love you, Johnny, but it's an end for me.
Okay, I think you misunderstood the task of devil's advocate.
Oh,
you were supposed to argue for Johnny Evans. That's okay.
No,
okay.
He bottled it.
So if I was to argue for him, he's got a lovely wife. He's Irish. He's tall. He's upstanding. Does he need a contract? No. Sorry. No. I think the Harry Maguire one would be. I think Tom's got a difficult one. That's kind of why I kind of said no. So
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Time's up. Well argued, Stu.
Well, I didn't really argue for him, did I? Sorry.
Listen, Stu could never be a solicitor. You could put it that way.
No chance. Sorry, Jarvis.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Tom. Harry Maguire.
I have a distinct connection to Mr. Maguire. We're both Sheffield boys, both Sheffield lads.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We always back our men from Sheffield, the Steel City, as always. You can see he's got a hyperextended forehead. The steel, made of steel. Put that steel, frame, build to good presence at Manchester United. I think he deserves a contract. We could maybe haggle it for 6 months. You can put him out on a freebie. Promote him. Listen, put him in the window shopping. Somebody might buy him in January for a decent fee, give you 10 million or something. But if I'm being honest about performances, I thought last season he was quite decent, guys. I'm not going to lie. I do think he had some good games for us. And look, whenever he seems to be able to step in, he does have a decent game. I don't think he's the worst player on the pitch. But even if we're speaking about it, future-wise, I don't think he's got a long-term future at Manchester United. But maybe in the short term, stick him on the bench at the moment. I mean, we have injuries. We always have injuries, guys. So, if you need to call upon him, he's there. Can do something for you. He did it at Villa Park, did he not? Him and Johnny, holding hands. So, yeah, I'm backing my Steel boy, guys. Come on, anybody from Sheffield, anybody from Yorkshire, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm backing your Steel too, Tom. I'm backing your Steel too. I know I shouldn't be backing Big Harry M, but the legend that is Harry M. He's been
for the record.
Yeah, he's been through absolute tough times. But when it really matters, the big old noggin, he rises like a salmon, pops the equaliser in at Porto, peels off like Alan Shearer. That's how you do it. He deserves a job. He deserves an extension just for that Porto goal.
For the record,
extra credits. You don't get extra credits.
For the record, Stu will understand this. For the record, I'd dump off the M62 if I could do. You will understand that reference.
Yes, I do understand that reference. Yes.
Come on, Jarvis. Your Scandinavian brother.
Yes.
Scandinavian brother from another mother.
Yes. Victor Jörgen Nilsson Lindelof, born 17th of July 1994.
Get off Wikipedia.
Fellow Scandinavian.
Get off Wikipedia.
Professional. He's versatile. He came from Benfica. Mourinho signed him at his days. We had high hopes for Victor. He's been very unlucky playing with Harry Maguire.
Hey,
But we can see there's a footballer there. He's very good on the ball. He can drive with the ball. in defense up until midfield. He's never gives away free kicks because he's very gentle when he tackles. He's called Lindesoft, but he makes it on purpose because he want to be nice with the other attackers. That's the Scandinavian spirit. I believe that Victor Lindelof should get another contract because we just need another fullback, and we can't sign fullbacks at our club. So we either stay with the one we have or bring in youngsters. So Harry Amas is not ready to play a role next year. He will only be 18. So I'm willing to give Victor Lindelof another year at Man United.
I think Trevor agrees with him. Wow, Jarvis.
Well, Jarvis has even been outed as a stalker, or he's a very good Googler. Get off Wikipedia next time.
In true tradition, VAR room, you always vote for me in true tradition. And again, I think I've won this hands down with my Johnny Evans rebuke.
You didn't even defend the guy. You just slammed him.
No, yes. So I think Big Harry M should be the one. Big Harry.
Okay. VAR room. What are your votes?
Yes, you forgot to mention that Victor's got a hot wife, as Mick says.
Okay. He has a hot wife.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's the end of Devil's Advocate. Who do you think won? Was it me, Stu, or Tom? Get your votes in. I see Matt Hosey says Lindelof, ? Jarvis is losing his mind. Well, I have to remind you, it's Devil's Advocate, so you have to do the task assigned to you. So my task was defend Lindelof. That's just the way it is.
And I forgot that, and I need spoon feeding VAR clearly to understand the rules of Devil's Advocate. So there you go.
Trevor comes in and say Lindelof has lovely tattoos, Jarvis.
Oh, now you're being the stalker.
How could I forget?
That's stalkerish, that.
That is stalkerish, yes.
Well, I think we just closed the Devil's Advocate for this time. We will come back with the new Devil's Advocate next Monday.
And I'll be on the ball next time.
Yeah, hopefully Stu will understand the task.
That's like a dagger to my heart, pal. You upset me.
Next topic before we go to the Q&A session, I have a couple of updates. We have this guy. Should United activate the 16.7 million euro pound buyback clause for Alvaro Fernandez in the January transfer window? Yes or no, guys? Stu?
I'm kind of look, he's had a decent season, hasn't he, at Benfica? I thought it was a bit strange that we let Reguilon go back in January. If I'm being honest with you, I would have kept Reguilon and re-signed him on loan again. I thought he offered us something a little bit different. But do we want to pay 16.5 mil when we only sold him for 8 or 7? Yeah. I don't know. So I'm not going to sit on the fence with it. I'm going to say no, I wouldn't. Good player.
Yeah, he's a decent player. Yeah. Tom, would you take him back? 16.7 million.
First of all, I don't think he should come back. He made his mind up. This coach that we have right now had nobody, and he could have used the Championship Player of the Year when he was at Preston. And the Championship, we know how demanding that league is. It's one of the hardest leagues to compete in. And he stabilised it, and he was very good in that league for that year. You don't win the player of that season for that league without having a decent or a good season. For me, he never got given a chance. There was nobody there. We had no Luke Shaw. There was no Malacia. He could have played. He had senior appearances. He'd played first-team football before, so there's no excuses behind that. And Eric Ten Hag said, no, I'll put Diogo Dalot at left back and I'll play Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. He played a natural right back instead of playing a natural left back. And it's burning him in the arse. He's burning up at Benfica, playing very well. He's still young. And the only thing I'm going to say is, if the long-term plan in the summer is that Luke Shaw leaves our football club, I would take him back in January straight away.
Okay.
For £16.7 million, the value of what you get, we should have never let him leave. And he should have been given that chance. And I promise everybody, if you would have been given that chance, you would see the exact same player that you're seeing at Benfica right now. Because he's playing in a league where it's freedom. The only difference is I want to see players be given a chance within our system. And that's where we need to see it. He shouldn't have been sold in the first place, like Neil is saying. If he had nobody there, and do you know what he said to Eric Ten Hag? Screw you. If you don't want to give me a chance when you've got nobody, and his agent had a good part to play in that as well, I'll go off and prove myself somewhere else. And there's 3 top European clubs in the summer that are looking at signing him permanently, but they have to pay 42.8 million euros to get him. That's his release clause for wider Europe. But we have a price tag that we can buy him back for already, which is what is on screen as Jarvis is pointing out. Liverpool, Barcelona, and Real Madrid all want to sign him in the summer. If we get rid of Luke Shaw, I'd take him back straight away. But you know what? Go and prove everybody wrong that doubted you at this football club.
Personally, when it comes to Alvaro Fernandez, I was a big fan of him when he played at Man United. I think he's a huge talent. I saw a lot of his highlights when he played for Preston. He was Player of the Year. I think. He did really well. And when you can do it in the Championship, I think you can do it in the Premier League. At least play the amount of games and the competitiveness and the roughness of the league. So I think he was ready to play. But I don't know the reason why Ten Hag and the club chose not to keep him and give him a chance at the current moment, because we knew Ten Hag, Shaw was injury prone. Malacia had an injury. They didn't know the extent of his injury at the time, but then again they knew that he was injured, and we had the same problems with Luke Shaw as we always had. We brought in Reguilon, and the medical team said that our left backs would be okay, and then we loaned him out again or sold him. I don't remember quite how
we sent him back, and then he went to Brentford in January.
That's it. He went to Benfica.
So,
are you on about Reguilon?
Reguilon, he went to Brentford.
Yeah, he went to Brentford. Yeah, real loss to us. Real loss. I think.
The only problem with Alvaro Fernandez is the price, 16.7 million. I don't think we have that kind of cash. Plus,
does he want to come back?
Yeah,
I don't think I wouldn't come back. If Ten Hag, and I'm not just saying this regarding what we said just about Ten Hag an hour ago, but if Ten Hag's the manager, if we're talking about him individually, his agent will advise him not to go back to Manchester United if Ten Hag's still the manager. When you weren't wanted the first time, he's not going to want you the second time.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
I think
the club would force this player on Ten Hag. It's not a player that I think he would want, is what I'm saying. And I think if you look at Ten Hag out there, he would probably look at the market along with the recruitment team. And I think, reasonably, guys, when we get to next summer, the left back's the first thing that we're probably going to sign.
100%.
We've been without a left back for like 2 years now, 2 seasons. It's not good enough.
We could still fall into the same trap and think that Malacia and Luke Shaw will come good.
I don't know, because
I think Shaw goes in the summer.
The guys that are above guys, in terms of Berardi and stuff. Berardi, the way that City worked was within that system, and I think he's going to bring it over here. The same thing what Wilcox did with a lot of the young players is you've got 2 years to impress. If you don't impress, you're done. See you later. Shaw's been here 9 years and he's not impressed anybody. Though Berardi doesn't have any connection to Shaw, neither does Wilcox. They don't have any personal connection to him. They've got rid of players in those squads for years. They got rid of title winners in that City squad. They got rid of Aguero while they were there. They got rid of Clichy while he was there. They got rid of Joe Hart. They got rid of loads of players who were City born and bred sort of players, guys, who'd been through their system. So don't think that they won't do it to Luke Shaw. But if they do, listen, last year I've got a bit of patience with guys. He's just come here. I don't necessarily think he was bad when he played and stuff. I know what I'm getting with Shaw. Last year I can see a bit of a development with, but listen, go and sign a left back in the summer, or if you bring Alvaro Fernandez, but I don't think a lot of us are going to moan and complain so long as you actually use him again. If not, there's no point.
Is that a fact, Nick? Do you have it like a 50%, or it has to be more?
It's a large sell-on clause, yeah.
Okay.
But you have to factor in, if he goes for the release clause price, you only get half of the release clause price, which is 20 million.
So we get 20, not 30.
Yeah, but that's based upon the release clause. Some club, it depends on if Benfica will sell him for the release clause price. They don't have to. It's an option. The way that Portuguese football and Spanish football are a lot different to how it works with release clauses, say, in England. In Portugal and Spain, if you want to sign a player that has a release clause, you go to the federation and you pay the fee, and then they release the players' listings to you as the club, and you sort everything out from there. You don't even speak to Benfica. The Spanish or the Portuguese FA finance the money over to Benfica, and that's how it works. They get notified a week in advance that club wants to negotiate the terms of the deal. After a week, the player goes. That's how release clauses work in Spain and Portugal. So Man United, if they want to buy him back, it'll be the same process, but they'll get it at a lower fee. But the same point, if they sell him for the release clause fee, Man United only get half of it. Whereas if Benfica, if no club wants to pay the fee because they have to deal with all the aggro with the federations, and it takes a lot longer to do. You had the story with Partey years ago when Arsenal paid, they paid the Spanish FA off, and it took the Spanish FA 4 weeks to file the paperwork just to get him. So it takes time to get the player. It depends if you want to wait that long to get him. A lot of clubs would rather just pay like maybe 10, 20 million extra on top of the release clause, and you get him straight away. And you don't have all the problems with the FA and stuff. Dealing with federations with release clauses is a lot harder than just negotiating solely with a club. That's just how it works, really, predominantly in Spain and Portugal. But
speaking of left backs, we have an issue coming up because we have injured left backs as usual. Masraoui is out, so the question is, who should play at left back until Luke Shaw comes back?
Well,
go on, Stu. You have this one.
Yeah. Is Martinez not kind of got issues as well? Did I read that during the week?
Yeah, with some kind of illness. I'm not sure the severity of the situation. I don't think it's anything serious, but
The problem is when he arrived at the Argentina.
So ultimately, he's going to have to play Licha, isn't it, left back, and he's going to have to put Evans in alongside De Ligt or whoever we have available to play two centre halves. I wouldn't do that personally. I've told you what I would do. And I would put Anthony as a left wing back and play Licha, Martinez, and somebody else. Licha, Martinez, Licha, De Ligt, and another, and go three at the back and play two wing backs. And I'd use Anthony as a left wing back. And then that would open up Agate. Now, we all know that Agate played in a back three for Uruguay. On the international break, they got beat 1-0, but he played in a back three. We could use him as cover.
So many used to do the same. I don't.
No. Yeah, we could just. No, I'm not saying we. No, I'm not saying we put him in as a back. I say we use him as cover, i.e., to get along, just in front of them, and he plays a proper six. And then we kind of utilize potentially Bruno, potentially Mainu. I think Mainu needs a break anyway, but potentially Mainu. And then you've got, as Tom says, Højlund and Xerxes up front. So I would utilize that, but he won't, as we know. He won't bring Amas in, which I know a lot of the guys are thinking. So you've got to play Evans, De Ligt, or maybe Evans at left back and Martinez and De Ligt in the centre. But I see that as a problem, so I would go slightly different. And I would give Thomas Frank something to think about. At the end of the day, they press in your face to Brentford, and I like that type of pressing. As long as our ball possession and our ball retention, and we have a much higher possession than Brentford, we could see them off this time. But it depends on how he wants to play. So that's how I think he'll go. But my preference would be to go 3 at the back and 2 wing backs.
Yeah. I just want to say to Maulin Patel that Masraoui is injured. He had the surgery, minor surgery, because of a heart
arrhythmia. Yeah,
Yes.
I'd like to know
he
why
will be out a couple of weeks at least, but maybe more. Maybe up to
6 to 8 weeks.
It's not. It's not a restricted injury. It's
no
medically and legally. The Premier League won't license him to play.
No.
Based upon it's a heart condition. It's a heart conditional problem. It's within their guidelines and rules, so they can't do it.
Why we never picked it up in the medical? I'd love to.
Do you know something? I said this to Nuruddin when we spoke about this when the news came out about a week ago. We said this.
Yeah.
Why Gary O'Driscoll, who's our head of sports science and head doctor at Manchester United, who we brought from Arsenal, how he's managed to miss this? It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I read somewhere, Tom, that the club was aware of this. And it was
we were aware.
We were aware of it.
Yeah, we were aware, and I think it was a planned minor surgery. So I don't know.
If we were aware of it,
it's a medical issue. So,
I understand that, but if we was aware of it, I don't know, because obviously we signed him in the summer. Why we didn't just let him have the surgery straight away then?
Agreed.
And then, like, right now, he would be like, fine. He'd be fine. He's had the surgery. He's medically cleared to play under the Premier League's guidelines and rules. You're not going to have an issue mid-season.
And maybe because of the injury issues of the other fullbacks, the club made a conscious decision.
I understand that, but then,
I'm just speculating, by the way. Yeah.
I know. We're not 100% certain on it, but even in saying that, if they knew that there was going to be a problem with this guy and they've signed him, fair enough. Surely you'd go into the loan, like tell him you can go and have the surgery, and then make sure you're okay for the rest of the season, and then you're going to have that play for the rest of the season, barring a blowout of a hamstring or something. Then you just go and get a player on loan. Like we'd have done what we all just agreed on and said, well, Reguilon's there. He's already been brought in before. You go and get him again on another loan for the time being. Again, we sold Fernandez. Why we didn't just keep him around, and why Ten Hag just didn't give him that chance at that time, and then he could have just adapted him and said, look, you're a young player, you're a young kid. I want to use you when I need you, but you're just going to be part of the squad for now, and then I'll break you into the first team steadily. Managers have these ways with players where they can just, it's almost like you mind trick them into thinking, you're going to use them week in, week out, but you don't. And they know this. Young players aren't stupid. They understand this, that, we're not going to go from the academy to first team bang straight away. It takes a bit of time to break in. But that's what I'm saying with this, with Mazraoui. It's strange that if we did now, I'm not so bothered that we signed him because I rate him as a player. I think he's been brilliant for us.
Yeah, he's been super.
For most of the season, I can't fault the kid, to be honest with you. But it's strange that we wouldn't go and buy. Not buy, but even just loan somebody in for the time being, and then you've got that security. I can't understand why we'd do that though.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't necessarily know, Jarvis, because obviously you said that you don't know for sure, but I don't know why it doesn't make sense that if we knew we wouldn't do that, or why we'd sign a player at risk when we've got this new structure that they do things by the book. Yeah. They say anyway they do things by the book, but. We might learn in a couple of years, or listen, Mazraoui.
We don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know, but it's strange. It's strange. Yeah, it's very strange, and you ask a lot of good questions, Tom. Before we go to the Q&A, I have just one more thing planned. It's a little bit of a quiz, a fun thing, because what I've done, I've merged pictures of 2 players of the club together.
Oh, great!
So it's up to you guys to guess who's the players. Who's the players?
Fantastic. How many of these have we got?
So, I have 5. And VAR room, please join. So this is the first player. Who do we have here?
That's Rashford and Ahmad, isn't it?
Ahmad.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So next one goes to Tom.
Ooh.
Well, one of them's leaked, yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I got it.
I'm fucking rubbish at shit like this. I'm gonna kick my son after this, I swear.
You are Kaza.
Leach is one of. Oh,
Casemiro. Okay. Okay. Next one.
That is
Harry.
Harry.
Yeah.
Harry and Jesus.
I know who this is.
Okay, Tom.
Is it Harry and Tom Heaton? No.
No, it's someone new.
Oh, it's Harry and Delict. Yeah, it's Harry and Delict.
Yes. Romano saw it right away.
Yes, Harry and Delict. Yes.
Good one. Okay, next one.
Ericsson and Garnacho.
Yes.
Yeah, you took it right away. I think this is one of the most difficult. Ericsson and Garnacho.
That looks quite simple though, because Ericsson doesn't have hair, and Garnacho's got like a wild hair, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good old Ericsson with a bit of hair.
Last one.
Ollie gonna hang.
Is that Eric? Yeah, is that Eric and Ollie, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eric and Ollie.
Eric hair. It's the hair, isn't it? Ollie's hair, yeah.
Are we sure he's been to Ibiza and Ollie's not been to Turkey?
I think it's my hair transplant, yeah. That was quite good fun, that was.
That was the last one. I will make 5 new ones next time for you guys.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. Do that.
Yeah, and now it's time for the Q&A session. I will play the jingle.
Roll the clip.
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Jonathan. And welcome to the Q&A section. I have to say this show is absolutely flown by. There's been hundreds of you watching. Great comments in the VAR room, and Jarvis with a doozy of a quiz just a few minutes ago. My lack of understanding of Devil's Advocate, what can we say? It all happens. A bit of boxing, bit of verbal sparring. It's all gone on today. So finally, we're here for our Q&A section. So if you've got any questions, you've got 2 top panelists in Jarvis and Tom. Ask them anything. Let's get into it straight away with a question from Mick. And this one's for you, Jarvis. And Mick says, who actually sets the expectations? I think he's talking about the media or fans. We kind of touched on that, didn't we? What I did.
And it's a good question, a brilliant question, by the way. But to go deep into it, it will take too long. So the simple question is, I'm 50-50, I can't even make up my mind. Because
the simple answer is
expectation. The fans set the expectations. That's true.
100%, yeah.
And the media tears them down.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think that's a fair comment, Jarvis. It's a difficult question, isn't it? Because I think the fans set the expectation. I think the media set the agenda. The fans jump on it, and then the media try and tear it down. I think you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I did those hand gestures there, but yes, it's my animal instinct. Moving on swiftly. This is a question for all of us. But John, Tom will go with you on that one. And this is from Paul, by the way, Paul S. So thank you for your question, Paul. At what point do you sit these high-priced, underperforming players with youth players? I think it's a great question. Maybe that would reignite the fire in these so-called professionals. So I think what he's saying is, would you switch some of the underperforming players with youth players? Tom, what's your thoughts on that? Well, great question, Paul. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I probably would. But Problem is they're at Manchester United. Two of them that I would switch. One of them's the poster boy and one of them's the club captain. And unfortunately, if you drop those two, you lose the dressing room. If you consistently drop those two, or if you put them in the stands, or you make an example out of those two, you lose the dressing room. It's as simple as that. Why do you think, out of the directive of players, in terms of wide players, he had a problem with Sancho, but he didn't have a problem with Marcus Rashford? Why did he choose to pick a battle with Sancho, who is a technical footballer, he's adaptable footballer, guys. You can use him technically, you can coach him properly, whereas what I've said we've all agreed on with Rashford is he's a kick and run player. Kick the ball 5 yards, run past you, put the ball in the back of the net. That's it. That's all he can do. Sancho can do that, but he can also play inverted. He can put balls in the box. He can play as a 10. He can be creative. All the things that a modern day footballer necessarily needs, and you're seeing that at Chelsea with a proper coach in Maresca who's showcasing that side of his game. He chose his battles very wisely, Eric Ten Hag, when he first came into this football club. I'll give him that. That's all I'm going to say. If he'd have done that to Marcus Rashford and tried to make an example out of him, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He would not be. I'm telling you now, he would not be here. You can't burn your bridges with the poster boy of Manchester United. I'll tell you that for a fact. And if you do, I have a lot of respect for you. But put it this way. If you don't get your way and they don't end up leaving the door, they will turn that dressing room on you in a heartbeat. Straight away. And that's why if he was ever going to get rid of them, like what you're saying here, if we're talking about high-priced, underperforming players, Fernandez and Rashford are the two big ones that spring to mind, guys, anyway.
Yeah.
If you do that to them, they're going to flip the dressing room on you because the two most influential players to the club, but also to the dressing room. That's if those two players say something in the dressing room, guys, a lot of them are going to jump on board with it. Put it that way. Or supposedly anyway, but it won't happen, but I would do it. And do I think maybe that it would reignite the fire in these so-called professionals? No, because I think they're entitled. And I think they look at football and they think, I've got to that stage of my career where I'm comfortable. I will always be picked week in, week out because of what affiliation I have to this club. I wear the armband, or I'm the poster boy. I'm the superstar that kids look up to in the academy or around Manchester. They got to that level of hype, and that's what you call entitlement. And entitlement does not belong in a football club.
Yeah,
you're not entitled to anything. You have to work and you have to earn it.
100%.
Like we all have to earn a living to feed our families or feed our kids. So.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Thanks for that, Tom. Paul, I hope that's answered your question. We've got a question here from Harry Potter for Jarvis. And Harry says, Jarvis, can you give me 5 examples what makes Eric Ten Hag a good manager according to you? Really great question. Yeah, go for
it. 5 examples. You should give me 10 or 15. It will be easier. No,
I'm here all night.
No. Well, the thing is with football and today's modern managers, they all have a similar setup as Ten Hag. And Ten Hag was, I would say, one of the first, and I think a lot of them simulate what Ten Hag has been doing at Ajax. When he was at Ajax, he was really successful, and I see bits and pieces of it when it comes to United. And I believe that he can recreate some of that when he's at our club. I like his press play when it works. I like that that we are really aggressive as a team. We don't try to dilly-dally on the ball, but we go direct when we can. What was better in Ajax was, I would say, the tempo of the game and the ability to keep possession, not lose possession all the time. I think that was better. So it suited Ten Hag's style better. What I've seen at Man United under Ole, we were very counter-attacking. Under Mourinho, we were very defensive setup. Under Van Gaal, we were always passing the ball sideways. Under Moyes, we were trying to play, I would say, like an English type of style on the wings and cross it into the box. But we didn't take our time to I would say, make the opponent shaky in a way, because you need to play a little bit around and make them fall deep into their own box before you start hitting those crosses. Then it's really effective. Because you win the the ball back again. So again, I see other managers has been didn't have like a type of modern style, but Ten Hag has a modern style: high press, play out from the back. We haven't seen it from any other manager. Maybe a little bit from Van Gaal. The ability to shift play from one side to the other. I think that's really important in modern football. The ability to set up your own players in overloads, in 2 against 1, 3 against 2. I think Ten Hag has good ideas when it comes to this. I think has a lot to learn when it comes to man management, how to improve players and inspire them. I think he has a lot to learn when it comes to in-game management. So I think he can do better. I think it will be easier if you have a broader squad with better players, more quality. But we have seen he have brought youth. So there's a lot of things with Ten Hag, and I can talk for hours. But I would say I see potential, and people talking about bringing in other managers now is this guy from was it Stuttgart, the guy who everybody wants in. We have Michel. Everybody talks about Postecoglou. A lot of these managers, they're basically trying the same as Ten Hag is trying to do. That's the thing. As a modern managers. So that baffles me when people always criticizing Ten Hag about his tactics, because I think his tactics are very spot on when it comes to modern day of playing.
Hold that thought, because we've got a question from Craig Warby about tactics, which we'll go to after this. So we've got a couple of questions, not really questions, more statements or questions we may or may not want to answer. So we'll start with Mick. The gaffer has been watching. I hope he's happy and he's given us a thumbs up. Being a Man United fan is like having sex with your Tinder date. You set high expectations, and I hope you get a good performance. As often as it's all about personal chemistry that makes the players play the best. It's a good statement there. He also then, I know, a rather fitting question, I might say. Ten Hag is planning to use Johnny Evans at left back at 37. Might as well loan Stu from the mighty Tipton Town. As I heard he's still playing. Well, the answer to that, Mick, is yes, he's back. The injury, I'm hopeful, is healed up, and I should be taking a picture this weekend to a fanfare. I'm sure, by adoring fans, allegiance of fans that line the terraces to watch me strut my stuff every weekend for the mighty Tipton Town. So if I am needed by the greatest club on the planet, I promise to answer, and I will be cheap. I'll only go for 200 grand for that particular game. So
all right.
That would be me. A question from Trev. Prepare yourselves, guys.
Stu, while we're on the topic,
yes,
a guy sent me some pictures, films from Tipton Town's last game before you. Yeah,
we
were. I just want to show you guys.
Yeah. That's me. There I am.
Mr. Wally here.
Yes.
Look at him.
Oh, you've seen it all before.
Yeah. Number 10.
Yes, look at that.
Look at that ball control. Easy.
That's the type of pitches we play on, Jarvis. You know, we don't.
A bit sunny for England, don't we think, guys? What's going on here?
Well, it was a good day.
I mean, I do that trick on a regular basis. The old back flick and Cruyff turn. I do it on a regular basis. Fantastic.
all comes down to experience, vision and experience.
Mr. Wade says, may we have a charity boxing match between Jarvis and Tom with Stu as guest referee? And don't let Jarvis get... he doesn't want Jarvis to play golf, I think, and he wants to know, is his handicap gone up? Has your handicap gone up?
No, it's gone down.
Oh dear. Stick to football. Trev has another question for us. Hair transplant or turkey teeth? Well, I don't know who he's asking, but there you go. He does have a serious question. But before we get to that serious question, Stu's Mankini or Jarvis's Budgie Smugglers? Oh dear. You can vote in the chat if you would like. But Tom, he does have a serious question. We love Trevor. We absolutely love Trevor.
Yeah.
What do we guys think about Roy Keane? Would he make an impact at United if he came in as a motivator or a coach in some other capacity? It's a really good question. It's been asked a few times. I don't think anyone's really got the answer to that. But Tom, if you could answer Trev.
I can see why. And personally, I would want him to have a closer involvement within the club. I probably would say more so in an ambassadorial sort of role, where, for example, you have, how can I say, you have almost like an ex-player output or an ex-player's opinion on footballing matters or decisions at the club. So, for example, when they had this meeting in London and they had a meeting in Manchester about regeneration of the football club, have an ex-player who has a massive status within the club. Roy Keane, there's probably 4 or 5 players who I can say have that. Brian Robson, Roy Keane's probably another one of them. Eric Cantona,
Stevie Bruce, definitely Bruce.
Steve Bruce, you know, there's a couple. There's probably 4 or 5 of them. If I had to name the high-profile ones at our club, Roy Keane's definitely out of one of those 5. I would have him in some sort of impact within the football club, absolutely on footballing matters, and have an ex-player's position on, you know, is it in line with the history and the traditions of the football club? And let's never forget our standards as a football club. If you bring Roy Keane in, listen, let him go and speak to some of the lads and stuff. He's burnt a lot of them on Sky Sports and stuff over the years and stuff and teared into them. Listen, having a bit of a sit down. I remember Roy Keane, he said something about with Harry Maguire and stuff. He completely ridiculed him and David De Gea after that Spurs game in lockdown and stuff. And he said, you know, I'd be swinging punches at the pair of them. And he apparently said that he'd bumped into Harry Maguire in the team hotel when they were preparing for a match, and he was staying overnight with Sky at the Lowry Hotel, and he was in the lift with Harry Maguire, and they didn't look at each other. And then it got to Harry Maguire's floor level, and just before he left, he stopped Harry and he apologised to him. And he said, look, the way that I went about it, I probably shouldn't have criticised you on national television and make it personal in that circumstance. And I should have maybe messaged you privately, or like we're doing now, and we could have discussed something, go to your hotel room and, you know, we'll speak on that, and we sit down and have a coffee, or, you know, a protein shake if you're getting prepared for a match or whatever. You know, have a one-to-one just to sit down and talk. But I would want that. I think a lot of fans would want that. But if I'm being completely honest, I think football has moved on from that, where you have motivational figures come in and they do talks and speaks and say about their past, their life experience and what they've experienced. You almost need something that's like an inspiration. What I mean by that is, like, for example, Arsenal, I've used this story before. They had the photographer, and it was documented under their Amazon series, where he'd been there with that team all the way from the Invincibles. He was hired when Highbury was there. He was there when the takeover happened with the Kroenkes when they came into the club, and you had the battle with Usmanov, and he took the pictures with all of them: Wenger, Thierry, Michael Keown, every one of them, all the way to that team then. And he said that this is a proper fan, and you know he made that heartfelt point, and it was reduced to tears because his club was how probably we are now, where we're in turmoil. We don't know where we're going, but he broke a tear and he said, you know, this is my fucking club. I love this football club, and I love every single one of you. And it's something like that where he's not won something for the club, but he's been there, a part of the club. And it's like what we have now, we say calf on reception, where people, we all know about that anyway. It's something like that where you have, even if it's just a kit man, or you have a disabled fan or something, they come in and they share a life experience with you. And you know something, it's something that stays with you as a player. And, you know, if you're in a dark moment or you're in a dressing room, a manager will bring that up and say, think about, I don't know, John, the disabled fan that we brought in and stuff. Think about his life experiences when life gets tough for him. You think you're having it easy in life. Put yourself in other people's shoes, and then you'll realise how privileged you are to play football. You know, something like that's what motivates people, guys. Not necessarily bring an ex-player in who's been there, done it all, and can say it all to you. That's where I think football changed in a way.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, what you mentioned about actually Harry Maguire and Roy Keane, similar incidents, wasn't it? Just recently with Phil Jones and Rio on Rio's podcast.
Yeah. That was public though. What I said to Roy Keane, he said that. He said, well, he made it public, but it was private where they had that.
Whereas obviously Rio made it public, didn't he? He's made it public, but yeah, very, very similar. Guys, we've got 2 questions left, which is no problem. We'll just, they're both from Craig Warby. I'll just quickly address this one because we don't have an answer for you, Craig, on this, but maybe it's something that...
Stu, before we go to the question, I just want to add something when it comes to Roy Keane.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because when we talk about Roy Keane, everybody talks about the hard man coming in, yelling at the players, like setting them straight, pushing them up against the wall, screaming at them, like making them do their best, putting in some effort, setting high standards. But have you guys seen the video of Rene Haki going ballistic?
Yeah, I saw it. You put it on Nuruddin's.
I saw it on this channel. I just want to put things in perspective because we have a coach who's going ballistic, and
they had one, Jarvis.
Yeah,
we all can you remember when we brought Ragnick and there was that video when he was at Leipzig?
Yeah.
When he took over as caretaker, and in German when they made that confrontation about it all.
Yeah,
that was that video. There was that video that went viral. Yeah, go on, play this one, Jarvis.
Yeah. Look at this.
Fucking hell! Hey, come out! I think you have to tell something to the guys, or not? Instead of with your head down. You fucked up the game. 2 stupid yellow cards. That's one. And second, it's also when I put extra defender in. Fucking shit, don't give away the first zone. Play 3 against 2 in the middle, and we catch a goal. It's unbelievable.
You had a scientific question. It's something like that, though, guys. When you look at that and you think, he can't do that at Manchester United. And why I say that is he's not in control. He's not the boss. He has to fall in line with Eric Ten Hag. Unless Eric Ten Hag allows him to do that. And if we base it off of what we've seen with the cameras pointed at them, when Van Nistelrooy, he made a point to Ten Hag and you could see he didn't like what he was saying or he didn't agree with it and they clashed. Do I really think Ten Hag's going to let one of his assistants rip into those players in the dressing room? I very much doubt it. It has to come from the manager. And in that circumstance, with that video he showed, Jarvis, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the head coach at that time at Utrecht.
Or go ahead.
Go ahead, Eagles, not Utrecht. Sorry.
It's still good to see, though.
Eagles. It's good to see. Of course it is, but it's him as his own person, and that's why I see Ten Hag wants to delegate responsibility. Players will understand like that because he's fluent in English. You can tell that he's a Dutch native, but he's fluent in English, and he gets the point across to those players in English. If he did that at Manchester United dressing room, they will understand that better. But can I honestly envisage Ten Hag being like that? No, he's not. He's not a vocalized character like that. You don't see that on the touchline. You're not going to see that behind scenes.
I may have been on the end of one of those, or 2 of those, or 3 of those in my time. Maybe when I'm like, oh god, yeah, I've wandered in. Fucking stupid yellow card. Click round the fucking ear. Well, it is what it is, Gaffer. 2 questions left then, so I'm just going to quickly touch on this because we don't have an answer for this one, Craig. But I'm pretty sure Jarvis or Mick might be able to do some digging for you. And Craig says, I've heard United are chasing compensation for medical negligence with Malacia. Whatever they did wrong, it's messed him up. I would certainly hope that if there was an issue, we would be looking for some kind of compensation, but we can neither confirm or deny that one, Craig. But I do want to give the guys this one final question because I think it's a brilliant question, a very simple one. from Craig is, are the tactics wrong? Jarvis.
I will give this to Tom. He can go first.
Tom.
Yes, because we're not getting results, and it's not sustainable. But it's not sustainable, and it's not working. But I do believe you can fix it. You can patch things up. I saw when Ugarte and Casemiro played together, it was balanced. There wasn't a hole in midfield. I understand it was against Barnsley, but you can only play what's in front of you.
Yeah.
They played well together. Ever since that game,
Who was in the 10?
Oh, that was
Not
my boy,
losing,
Mr.
not
Ericsson.
losing the ball.
That was my boy, Mr. Ericsson.
Mm-hmm.
But
It was
our,
Ericsson that day,
manager,
yes.
And the hole
unfortunately,
disappeared.
yeah, the hole disappeared. But unfortunately, we have Mr. Ten Hag at the wheel, who doesn't want to drop him in big moments or make big decisions on these players. And as I've said before, he is now tied down with them. And they are anchors at this football club on long-term contracts, both him and Marcus Rashford. So if it goes tits up, they will outlive him. And they will outlive him, because I don't think he's going to stay until the end of the season if it continues like this.
But you realize that, but they will be here when Ten Hag is gone and still play.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's been our club.
I understand that. But a new coach,
Jarvis,
Jarvis, might get something out of them. This manager right now is not getting anything out of those two players. And the fact that when you take those two out of the team, you can see the difference. If you can see the difference, I can see the difference, and Stu can.
Oh, yeah.
Why the fuck can he not see it?
I can. You know, I did right at the very beginning of the season, lads. You both know the tactics I wanted to play, the system that I wanted to play, and why I want to play it, and I explained it, and I don't need to explain it again. But I think maybe one or two of the players are bought for a reason. But like you say, maybe some of them weren't bought for a reason. Oh, Tom's gone.
Tom disappeared.
Hopefully Tom will be back. It might just be a quick glitch. And they weren't built for a reason. And you could point at Ugarte. Was he bought? We don't know, do we? Time will tell on that one. But Jarvis, the final word to yourself, and then we will switch places and you can close out the show. But I would like to say, this has been one of my favourite shows for a long, long time. It's had a bit of everything, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jarvis's Corner, so people tune in every Monday, and get a real footballing debate and footballing show. We try to dig deep and talk about the difficult questions. It has to be addressed.
They do, but So what would you?
Yeah, and then Craig Warby comes in with the follow-up question. So it's a personnel issue, wrong player choice.
Yes, I would agree. Now, we've spoken, haven't we, a few times, and that there are certain managers, there are certain teams that feel they've got to play specific players. We've seen it in the past, actually, with certain Manchester United teams. I'm sure you've seen it over, with some of the teams in Norway, Jarvis, when you were growing up.
Yeah,
you've seen it. Craig, it happens as little as under eights. Jarvis, you may or may not have experienced that through your son's football. I know that I did with my son's football. My son was always picked, even when he had a bad game. And I would make the point to the coach, my lad's not played well for 3 games. He needs to come out of the team. Yeah, but he's our best winger. It's an irrelevance. You don't always have to be the best. You've just got to fit the team. And that's what Tom and Jarvis are talking about, Craig. I'm going to let Jarvis explain it in a bit more detail to you. But, you don't have to have a makeup of real high-quality talent. You've just got to have a makeup of good talent that fits together. So, but Jarvis will be able to explain.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's the thing. Assembling a squad and assembling a team. It's none of these players, even though Bruno has the best stats and is so good as he sometimes is. He couldn't do it by himself. So everybody relies on the other players to perform. And I think brilliant individuals sometimes forget that they are part of a team, and I think that's one of the problems with, for example, Bruno and Rashford. I think they take up too much space and they don't give back enough for that. I usually I can show my tactical board and explain a little bit of what I see. This is our team, last game, and we have structural issues, as I mentioned. We have a big gap on the sides. I have showed you this plenty of times now, because when we lose the ball, the wingers is too high, the fullback is inverted, sometimes the midfielder is too high up. So our defenders, especially Licha, has to defend in the wide areas, and that's a big issue. There's a rule of thumb when it comes to football, especially in the old days, that this is the area for the center backs. They should never leave the end of the.
Absolutely correct. There you go, Jarvis. Yeah. So the 6-yard box is your sanctuary. That's your sanctuary. And if you were to pull, where's our fullback? Mazzari, you really want to position him slightly to the right. Keep going to the right. But that's where you want to push him, and slightly up. Just slightly up. Just there. That's it. Same with Dalot. That is the optimum position for any fullback, and there's a reason for that. If you were to drag the 7 directly, or the 11, drag the 7 directly to him. When you do that, you won't allow Bailey to cut the diagonal. I always talk about Rashford, if you remember, attacking the diagonal. That's the dangerous part about it. So you want to show him as far as you can down to the byline. That's where you want to show Bailey, as far as you can. And then yes, exactly right. So where Dalot's positioned, and you're absolutely right, you've not positioned him directly in front of him, you positioned him just off him. There's a reason for that. If he's directly in front of him, he can't get he can get a block tackle in, but if Bailey could quite easily whip the ball around his body. So by doing that, you're allowing him to get a sliding tackle in. You're also giving him the edge if Bailey cuts back on his left foot and tries to cut in from the opposite side. And that is basic defending 101, by the way, guys.
Yeah, that's basic defending. But structural issues, tactics. Try to explain it as good as I can in my Norwegian English. I hope you guys understand. What I have seen is our front two. They are too flat when we press. They're not staggered, as you guys call it. They have to be staggered. One has to press, one other has to be a little bit in behind, in a way. They call it zigzag. Some people call it. So you have to be staggered. So that's a structural issue, and I think Ten Hag should be able to solve it. It doesn't take a lot of years of football to understand. That's basic thing. And when it comes to defending from the wingers, you defend from the inside.
Correct.
All the managers talk about staying compact. You all remember Rafa Benitez standing on the sideline, always doing like this. Compact. That was one of his what do you call it?
And you compact for a reason. You compact for a reason.
And this has been one of our problems as a club under Ten Hag. We have been too wide. We're not staying compact, so it's hard to defend because the space between the players are too big. And a little bit it comes to because Garnacho is a young player. He makes a lot of poor decisions, and especially when it comes to defensive positioning. But it things you learn by playing a lot of games. Rashford, he thinks he's an inside forward, I would say, or something like that. So he believes he can play up here and just go in and not defend. He can just jog down and be about this area, and it's good enough to do your job. So I think that's a lot of the problems Ten Hag has to deal with. But I think if the team plays the way Ten Hag wants to, we stay more compact. This is our midfield in this area. We are more staggered, one behind, one up, but it depends on which side. If the ball is on this side, Manu is the highest. Eriksen has to go a little bit deeper. and if the ball is on the other side, Eriksen is the higher. Mainu has to be a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So you need somebody at all times to sit within the middle spine of your team. So I would drop Mainu just ahead of Rodgers, and that particular right in the centre. So if you pull Mainu down to there just for a minute, keep going, push him right, right in the middle. So he's right down the spine. That is your ideal optimum position for a centre of midfield. And if you look at what he can do, where he can do it, exactly right. Look at the space that he's got. So he can. So basically, Watkins and Rodgers should be occupied by Maguire and Evans. Okay, and then you've got Barkley and you've got Tielemans. If you were to drop Eriksen in and around Barkley, Garnacho slightly in between Tielemans and Phillips to the right, that's it. You're optimum there, because Mainu, he can go like a very sad face, an upside down frown. If you can, you see what I mean? So he can pretty much be reactive. Exactly right. He can be reactive, and that's what we're not seeing with our central midfielder. You've got no problems here with Rodgers and Watkins, because if Mainu needed to come deep, he can. Mazaris should be occupying Jaden. I can't really see whoever it was, and then Dallo should be occupying Bailey. So, if push comes to shove, this is what I was talking to you about Agate, by the way. He could just pretty much slightly. I think I've changed my screen with my pen. So Mainu can pretty much center himself around the 18-yard line. Can drop him when he needs to. It's not difficult. It's not difficult at all.
But these are the basics. The problem is in the modern day football is interchanging of players, especially the number 10s always drop down, the number 8 comes out, or maybe the number 8 goes out on the wing and the winger drops in. So there's a lot of things happening all the time. And as a defender, you have to realize who to defend, what area is the danger area. And there's so many circumstances when it comes to football. And you have to make a lot of choices. And I think a lot of the things that we struggle is understanding all this interchanging, who is in charge, who should mark, who should... And that's why I think it takes a lot of time to install a modern day football tactic.
It does.
And it comes down to, people say yes, it's been in his 3rd year, but it's not the same team as 2 years ago.
You've got it. It is time, and I talk about players. They shouldn't have to understand it. They should already know it. I told you, we've spoken about this before. Your basics, you learn when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You learn everything there is to know about it. But it's up to the players to buy into it. It's up to the players to understand what he's wanting to do. And I go back to what I said 3 years ago. When a manager like that's coming in, you've got to understand him, you've got to study him. And our players just don't do that. They don't study our players. I like to, when we find out what our opposition is, I like to know, a little bit about them. I like to know who I'm up against. I'm up against pace. I'm up against a taller player than me, a wider player than me. I'm up against a player who's been sent off a couple of times, so I know I'm going to have to fight him, because that's what he wants. Does he get yellow cards? Does he score with his head? I'm trying to find out as much as I can about my opponent all the time. And I just think it's one of those that we don't do well enough. Anyway, it is what it is, pal.
It is what it is.
Craig, I hope Jarvis has answered your question. I mean, if you want us to do more tactics boards, please let us know. Reach out to Jarvis or reach out to myself. We love the tactical side. We'll put on a full tactics show if you want. If you want to ask me and Jarvis any tactical questions, then we could do that. If there's anything you want to know, we'd happily do that. But guys, that's the end of the Q&A. I'm going to hand over to my old mate.
Yes.
Who can see us out. It's absolutely flown by. 2 hours 20 minutes, pal.
Time flies in good company. I just want to add at the end of the show, Romano transfers MUFC. A lot of breaking news all the time, and not just Goff, but he has good connections and know a lot of people and follow the right people. So we see here Manchester United are considering Leon Goretzka as a potential replacement for Casemiro in January. So I think if we can sell Casemiro, Goretzka will be the one we will try to go for. And we know we have good relationship with Bayern Munich, so I think this is actually not too far off. Yeah, Goretzka, DM, or I would say more of a number 8 maybe.
Yeah, he's
yeah. And we have this one. MUFC are expecting to trigger the one extension in Amadiello and Harry Maguire's contract. It's from Rich.
With Maguire, that's finance, isn't it, Jarvis?
Well, I think the problem is at the moment is we have 3 players, as we mentioned, going out of contract. It will be hard for us to replace all 3 of them in one summer transfer window. So I think it will just make it easier for us.
Yeah, you put an extra year on Harry's, and he's played quite well when he's played this season. He's done all right this season. So there's money to be had. I can see the extension makes sense.
As long as he accepts being 4th or 5th choice.
I think he does now, Jarvis. I think he does. Yeah.
What do we have here? Left back is now a priority position to be filled, either permanently or loan.
I think we'll do something in January.
Yeah. So I think loan is more likely. I think we have a lot of money, but I think we will sign the left back. That will be. Do we have any more news? Yes, and this is the last one. Alphonso Davies and Leroy Sané are on Manchester United's radar. Both players' contract expire in the summer of 2025.
No.
Leroy Sané, Alphonso Davies.
Well, we're not going to get Davies.
He's a left back, isn't he?
He's a left back, isn't he? I thought he was Madrid bound, Davies.
Yeah, he's good.
No, he's a hell of a player. He's Canadian.
Yeah, Canadian.
Yeah, I thought he was Madrid bound, but anyway. So I've got a lot of love in the VAR room for the show tonight, old friends. You got a lot of love.
Trevor comes in, great show. Jarvis got his phone cut as he didn't pay his phone bill, and Stu just do. So thanks for taking part, Stu.
Well, Trev, I'm only come here just for you, pal. It's all I do. This is for you, mate, and my old mate Jarvis. Now, we've had a great time today. Absolute great time.
Yeah. Romano comes in and says Sané is a top player if we sell.
He is a top player.
Yes,
I don't see it with the Manchester City links, but anyway, who knows? Who knows? Tenuous that they are, who knows?
And by the way, go follow Transfers MUFC. That's Romano's transfer news channel. So it's always up to date when it comes to the latest news. Reliable. So that's the end of the show, guys, and thank you for watching. 2 hours 23 minutes, not our longest show, but I think it's been a good show, and I hope you liked it. If you haven't, smash the like, subscribe to the channel MUFC Realist TV, and after the show, leave a comment about the Ten Hag debate with me and Tom and Stu. And if you have any other things you want to talk about, I will be in the chat afterwards and try to answer all of the questions you guys have when it is on Ten Hag or Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out or Stu's Mankini or whatever you want to talk about. So thank you, Craig. Thank you, Trevor, David147, Mr. B, Romano, DJ Superfly, Jamie Wayne, who else? Wizard, Craig Warby, Crazy Red Devil, all of you guys. Thank you for following the show. It's been a fantastic show. So glad to have you here watching it. And we will see you on next Monday, 9 p.m. So everybody, have a good one. Bye-bye. Oop.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.